Hello, fermented folks.
We have P. Jelly Clark.
All Makatsu.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show gives me heartburn. I was like, I loves it, I hate it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry,
this is it right here. Folks, and welcome.
You've been
What?
muted.
You were
You
muted.
started muted.
You started muted.
Okay, well, I didn't have mute on. That was just a result of the video. Hello, fermented folks. Pardon my very rude co-hosts for interrupting me, as if I would ever get on this fucking microphone right here and talk while I'm muted. Okay, I'm
that'd be
a
crazy.
goddamn
Never
professional up in
Such
here,
a
Never
pro.
happened.
and you can
Absolute
check the
pro.
tape. You can look back, and you'll never find a single instance of me doing that. Or
Never.
will you? Am I just full of shit?
Let us know in
Yes.
the comments if you do.
Yes, let us know in the
You know what,
comments.
though? I think it's a mute point.
Oh,
You know what, TJ? You're right.
Friggin'
I
got him.
agree. I agree. Snaps for TJ, everybody. Thank you, TJ.
That's
TJ
beautiful.
Price is our guest today, by the way. He is a dear friend of mine. We hung out a lot at my very first StokerCon. We hung out at my second StokerCon, and I assume we're going to hang out at my third StokerCon, and it's going to be a great time because TJ is always the guy who's still up at 4 a.m. And I am also that guy. So, you know, somebody got to do it. TJ, we appreciate your service to the horror community, my friend. Thank you for coming on the show.
Happy to do it. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. Last year, TJ really brought the heat when we debated Adam Neville's The Ritual. And I expect he'll do the same today as we talk about Brian Evenson's short story collection, A Collapse of Horses. Excellent or terrible short story collection, depending on what I roll tonight, as I will be debating TJ on that book, and our debates are determined by dice roll, just in case you don't already know. The first thing we do before the debate on this show, though, is our round of personal updates, so you can stay up to date on all your hosts and then get to meet your guest a little more formally. So we'll start with you, Jeremy. What's your personal update? What you been up to? And hello.
So hey everyone. This is not okay. And yes, that is actually true. This is not okay because I found myself very recently thinking about the film Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Mhm.
And I was just going over the plot of the film in my head, and I came to a question that had no answer. And it was this. It was okay. So the central thing in the movie surrounds a plot that Ace Ventura finds out about because a dolphin was kidnapped, which turns out to be an elaborate setup for somebody to kidnap Dan Marino. There's no reason for the dolphin to have been kidnapped.
Mhm.
You could have just skipped that and kidnapped Dan Marino, and everything would have been fine. Well, not for Dan Marino, but for, the person doing the crime.
And
I mean,
this
yeah.
kept you up at night?
Yes.
I feel like this personal update might just turn into like a therapy session where I'm like, and where did Dan Marino hurt you? Why
Show
did
us
Ace
on the
Ventura-
dolphin stuffy where Dan Marino.
White and elusive.
Yeah.
White and elusive.
Look, I expect more from my mid-tier 90s comedies that probably aren't okay anymore.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
as you
I
should.
expect exactly that much from a mid-tier 90s Jim Carrey comedy. And nothing more.
Look, as mid-tier 90s football-based comedies go, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective is far superior to Waterboy. So we at least have that. We at least have that. Travis?
Good. Yeah.
Sounds like Jeremy's he's thinking about Ace Ventura. What are you doing with your time?
I have two. I have a personal one and then one that I'm just excited about in the sports world. as Clayton and I are wont to do, is update people about the sports world, even if you don't really care.
Yeah.
So personal
Take that.
one, I have
Okay, I
been
will.
making quite a few strides in my lifting journey that our good friend Zebediah Boost put me on.
Mhm.
According to calculations, so this isn't official, and one day I will get on this podcast after actually doing 1 rep maxes and make it official. But according to the max charts, I'm over the 1,000-pound club, but I haven't gone and done it, so I can't say that I am yet. Last time I tried and actually physically did the 1 rep maxes, I was 5 pounds shy, but apparently now I should be over it. I'll probably try in the next month or so. So hopefully by StokerCon, I'm looking big. That's the goal. But,
Nice. Yeah, you want to be looking swole for that, for sure.
Yeah, I want to be looking swole for StokerCon. And the other just fun update is UFC is going to Paramount Plus this weekend, and I'm pumped because I don't have to pay $70 for fights anymore.
Yay.
I just pay the monthly fee, which is like not too bad. I think 13 for the like premium a month. And I get the fight library, and I get the newest UFC fight, which is going to be Paddy Pimblett versus I'm not even going to try and pronounce. I think it's like Goeth. It's like Goethghje. Strange name. Very good fight coming up, and it's free, and I'm pumped. So yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. I think Patty is still undefeated because he's an absolute monster.
And I believe you.
You're right to do so. I'm pretty confident in that stat. I don't know about the other guy as much, but I know he has an awesome record too, and I know he's beaten a couple fighters that I really like. So he's quite good as well. Yeah, that'll be nice to not have to pay that. My favorite sport is definitely football, and I'm a Rams fan. Go Rams. So I actually saw a meme the other day. And it was like, for the Super Bowl, each quarter will be broadcasted from a different streaming service. And we live in a world where I was genuinely unsure if that was a joke.
I'm still not sure if that's a joke.
Yeah, you're right, Jeremy. You're right.
Amazon Prime gets quarter 1, Netflix quarter 2.
Exactly.
Halftime shows on Peacock.
Yeah, Hulu for quarter 3 and Paramount Plus for quarter 4. Have a fun Super Bowl. I hope you have all those fucking subscriptions. If you're not a football fan, that is almost what it's like to have to watch the game. You literally do like have to have 3 streaming services to watch like just the majority, and then you have to have a 4th to watch the like off market obscure games. If your wife is, say, a Chargers fan and no one gives a fuck about them, and we have to find those games anyway. But yeah, that is my personal update. It is Rams related. The Rams are in the conference championship, which is the game before the Super Bowl, second to last game of the season and last game of the playoffs. And because the Seattle Seahawks are also really good this year, they are hosting that game. And my brother-in-law is a huge Seahawks fan with tickets to the conference championship. So I get to go. And I am super, super stoked. He's even been generous enough that he gave my dad a ticket because he had a whole bunch of tickets. So my dad's coming out from Montana, who is also a big Rams fan. So shout out to Aaron, big props to Aaron. Very generous brother-in-law, awesome man. And even risking bringing some Rams energy into the Seahawks stadium for family, for the love of his family.
Really making other brothers-in-law look substandard.
Absolutely, including me. Because I'm going to be actively rooting against him and laughing in his face if his team loses to my team. So we'll see.
Our dad called me and was like, I don't know. He was doing the grumbly farmer thing, the hermit thing. Like, I don't know if I should go. I was like, Dad, when are you going to ever get a ticket to a conference championship again? He was like, I'll call you back. And he called me back the next day and was like, I'm going. I was like, you better.
Yeah, that would have been very stupid of him. So I'm glad he's coming out. yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm really, really excited for it. We get to go every year. Seahawks and Rams are in the same division, which means they always play at each other's stadium at least once a year. So there's always a guaranteed Seattle game. We always go. It's like a family tradition. And now we get to go to this one. This one is by no means guaranteed. It's all determined by who's the 1 seed and everything. So this might be a once in a lifetime game. Really excited to get to go. That's my personal update. And yeah, I'll either be very annoyingly happy on Monday or very sad. TJ, can you tell the Fermented folks of the Fermented universe who you are, what you do, and what you've been up to, my friend? Thanks again for coming back on the show.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to be here. It was a lot of fun last time. Wow, there's so many of me on the screen right now. I've never really seen anything like that before. Yeah, good. Hi, everyone. Super happy to be here. I'm a guy who likes weird fiction and movies and art and do a lot of those things myself. I like to write fiction. I like to edit other people's fiction if they'll allow me to read it. Not, if not for nothing, it's fun, and I like the words and the structures and the syntax and all of that good granular stuff. So it's really fun to engage in that activity with people. I've published a couple of people's work recently. This last year, I spent mostly focused on editing. Emma E. Murray's debut collection, The Drowning Machine and Other Obsessions, came out last February, which I was really stoked about. I love Emma's work, and her short fiction is amazing, incredible, really moving. And Eric McHatton's debut fiction collection came out in September called Straw World and Other Echoes from the Void, kind of cosmic horror flavored stuff. Eric's really smart, knows a lot about weird fiction, a lot about the history of horror. And he kind of synthesizes it all together to make these really uncanny, disturbing stories. And he puts his own stamp on them. They never seem derivative in any way, but you can tell that he is a product of his influences. So I was really happy to champion both of those guys and getting their debut fiction collections out into the world. And that's kind of what I did last year.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. And we'll make sure we get some information on where we can find that sort of stuff at the end of the show. Throw it in the show notes for sure. You can also, I've already got TJ's information in the show notes as well. For his website, he has some short fiction that recently came out as well. His novella, The Disappearance of Tom Nero, is really excellent. I really like that. And yeah, we're glad to have you here, man, because you bring a level of insight. You bring that other side of the page knowledge that some writers haven't experienced. So this is going to be a fun one, especially since we're talking about one of the sort of contemporary forerunners of literary fiction. You're sort of more, I guess you would say, advanced type writing applied to the horror genre. When I say literary, that's sort of what I mean. Brian Evenson writes in a very, very advanced way. He's a very technically skilled writer. And so A Collapse of Horses is an example of that. And that's why TJ brought it to the table, but we don't know if he actually likes it. We don't know if I actually like it. But we're going to debate it and find out. And we're going to choose our sides by dice roll, like we always do. If you roll high, you have to defend this book. If you roll low, you have to attack it. TJ, are you ready for Travis to roll for you?
I'm ready.
All right.
As long as you're ready, I'll roll for you.
All right. Come on, Black Bark, no stop.
Not 20 bits!
Oh!
All right.
Yes.
Nice. I rolled an 18. I was feeling pretty good.
Ooh. On the purple, on the gemstone purple dice that has been doing shit for me all year. So the curse is broken. Thank you, TJ.
There you go.
Heck yeah. That's so appropriate for this book, too. Awesome.
All right.
I apologize to the listeners for shouting the bitch into the mic. The loudest bit. Not good, but I was excited. I rolled like trash the last D&D game I played. So
there you go. You saved it all for now.
Yeah, I saved it all for now. So now we're going to have a nice debate between Clayton and TJ. TJ, you are the affirmative, so you are going to start first. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's do it.
All right. We are both ready, starting with you, TJ, in 3, 2, 1, debate.
Well, there's a reason I chose this book for this group to read, and I hope that everyone enjoyed it as much as I do. I think that this book in particular contains one of the stories that I have read inside the horror genre that should be regarded as a classic piece of short fiction all the way through the rest of time, as far as I'm concerned. The way that Evenson wields his prose is like a scalpel. Not a single word is ever left unused. And the way he likes to twist and subvert expectation is beyond any other writer I have ever read. What he does with actual narrative and on a sentence level is enough to unseat and unnerve any reader who comes across him, either casually or intentionally. There are still stories of his that I haven't read, and the new ones that I do continue to unnerve me every time, even though I'm aware of every little thing that he does at this point, I think. I truly believe he is a forerunner of modern fiction writing, fiction as a whole, not just the horror genre.
Okay. Yeah, and that's all well and good. If you want to read to learn, then yeah, Brian Evanson's great. You can have a good time if you get your kicks from analyzing syntax and analyzing writing style and analyzing word choice and analyzing the placement of narrative structures like TJ does because he's a professional fucking editor. If, however, you are like me and sometimes you just want to read a nice scary story that delivers upon your expectations for the genre and carries you through a narrative that you can follow, understand, and then draw some sort of conclusion from at the end, Brian Evanson's work may not be for you. This work is characteristically and categorically and consistently convoluted as fuck, with minimal payoff, almost no answers to the questions promised earlier in the narrative, oftentimes. And for this collection specifically, I felt like it was really redundant and repetitive. A lot of the stories follow the exact same themes, and I understand you're putting together a collection. It has to have some sort of narrative through line. It has to have some sort of like thematic cohesion, but I don't think it necessarily has to be the same story over and over again. And I do feel like in this collection specifically, I've read a lot of short story collections. In this one specifically, there were several places where I felt like it was another one of the same kinds of stories that, individually they're all pretty good. But by the time I read my like third iteration of, I'm a prisoner in my own mind and I have no idea what the fuck is happening, I'm like, okay, I get it. This is just either a weaker version of the story I just read, or it's a slightly better version of the story I just read, which makes that other story weaker as well. And then on top of that, I felt like that last story, the blood drip or whatever, was extremely derivative. I know that the first one, the Black Bark, was written specifically and inspired by a friend of his in another story. I felt like that last one was written as a partner piece for it. I don't know this for sure. So if it is actually revealed somewhere, let me know, TJ. But to me, it felt like, I got to write something for the end of this collection. Let me just write a second one of those. And again, same kind of thing. It was weaker and not the best way to end your story, in my opinion. But yeah, that's what I have to say about this.
I think that's a really fair interpretation of what's going on a surface level. However, I believe that on a deeper level, there are a lot of things going on that would occur to you, I think, subconsciously after stepping back and looking at the stories as a cohesive whole, much like you mentioned. I think that it's less that each story is repetitive and more that each story is a different facet of the same story repeated. So it's less about the narrative propulsion and more about taking us the same situation and looking at it from a different perspective. For example, he plays a lot with the idea of negation or doubling. And so you've mentioned felt like an inferior version of the other, or a weaker in some way. But I would argue that there are pieces that say the story is the same story, not Black Bark versus Black Bark, for example. In the very first story, which for example, I could talk about for the entire 2 hours, Black Bark, he talks.
Is that the one, just out of curiosity, sorry to interrupt, is that the one you were referring to at the beginning?
Yes, Black Bark is the very first story. And then the Blood Drip, which is the final story, serves as the pieces that are left out, if you will, of the narrative that happened in the first place. So yes, if you read the two stories sort of separately and out of context with one another, they might not stand up next to one another. But if you read them as bookends of a collection, that really has to do with undermining your sense of reality as a reader, as well as a human being, I might argue. They become far more powerful, especially when you consider the fact that Black Bark survives as a study of negatives and polar opposites. He talks about a story that's called Black Bark, but the story ends on a note where he's suddenly discussing the opposite of that, or not Black Bark, or what Black Bark left out. When you get to the blood drip, you kind of subconsciously realize, although it's never 100% told to you right away, that you're reading not Black Bark or the story of what Black Bark left out, which is also what the first story ended with. So now you're ending a collection with what was left out and what was so frightening in the first story. So you feel like the characters in the first story having been pulled all the way through the book to its end. So I think there's a lot going on under the surface. I do agree that it's not necessarily the most accessible thing in the world, but I will say that it is one of the most immersive things that I've ever read. And that, I think, is a feeling that everyone can get into, regardless of their level of reading.
Yeah, and I'm not even trying to insult the readership or anything or say that you can't get into it at a certain level. I think that it's just a certain flavor, and it may definitely just not be for you. Like, you do not get those answers definitively. You, TJ, are a very intuitive reader who does this for a living. You read for a living. So, like, yes, you have that skill set to draw those interpretations, and you might not be right either. Like, we don't know for sure anything, and I think there is some duty of the author to answer the questions that they propose. I think, I don't remember who said the quote, maybe you can help me out, but there's an author who said our duty as writers is to deliver upon the promises we make at the start of our narrative. And I do not feel that Evenson does that effectively in this collection. It's particularly with that bookend story. Again, it felt like a callback more than this perfect culmination of a whole. And then there's just a bunch of, again, repetition. And this, to me, is one of the fundamental flaws with literary fiction in general. It, to me, now this is a little bit hyperbole, but it's a little bit like that banana that was in the art exhibit and everyone was like, it's brilliant. Or they're like, it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I think literary horror fails in the same way because it's presented in such a way that, like, if you can't draw your own if you can't draw your own interpretations and enjoy that aspect of the reading process, and you just want to read a story and you want the author to tell you a story, you don't want to have to tell yourself a story, then you're not going to be able to appreciate it because it's not really made for you to be appreciated. So I don't know. It just depends on what you go into reading for, I guess. And for anybody who wants, like, a cohesive, understandable narrative, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this.
I'm curious, when you say that he makes a promise that he fails to deliver on, what do you think the promise is that he doesn't deliver on?
I don't think he makes necessarily a promise. I see that this book is titled horror. I don't find it very scary in really any instances because I disagree with you on that point of immersion. I don't think it's immersive at all. I think it's too exclusionary to be immersive. Unless you like go in wanting to immerse yourself. It's again, with the art gallery thing. Like if you go to an art show and you really want to just like look at art and stare at things and interpret your own things for 6 hours, then sure, you might enjoy a really stuffy art presentation. But if you don't, and you want the story to be told to you, not have to tell it to yourself based upon the clues you're given by the author. So I guess I'm not seeing much of a promise, and therefore I'm not seeing much of a delivery either. These stories are just like, I don't know what's going on, and neither do you. Fuck you, reader. Good luck figuring it out. I'm smarter than you. It's so nose in the air. Brian Evenson is sniffing God's ass when he writes this collection right here.
Wow. Okay.
That's what I have to say.
Well, I don't know that I know how to argue against someone who is going to read literary fiction and not think that it is in some way pretentious, because for it. I do think that there are promises that are made with narrative, and I do agree that an author should answer to those promises. But I think that if you can't tell me what the promise was, you can't tell me whether or not they made good on it.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I guess my promise would be this would be scary. And it's
no
not scary.
promises. No promises that
cram
will
it.
be cited here. There's none of them. No promises to our audience. I don't know why I suddenly adopted a really bad Italian accent, but I did.
It's the Philadelphia hat. You really
yeah,
can't.
it is. It's bleeding into my brain, and I love it.
Go Birds.
Although the Birds,
They did not go.
No, they
This
did
Sure.
not go.
Cry,
But-
Eagles, cry.
great debate, people. So many topics that are spiraling in my mind that I don't think we're gonna even go down the rabbit holes because I've
You can
gone
only
down.
go down so many of them.
You can only do, but there's a couple here that we'll definitely get into. Normally we do fermented facts, especially with movies. Books are hard.
I have lots of them.
Okay, good. I was just gonna
Thank God.
pitch that to TJ or Clay, and we're not gonna do sort of like was it a success because that's nearly impossible to map for novels and short story collections. Sure, it was a success. You know why we know it's a success? Because it got published. It's hard to publish a book. If it gets published, it's pretty successful. Good job. Well done. You published a book. That's a success.
Yeah, and Brian Evenson has been published hundreds and hundreds of times all over
Yeah.
the place. He's certainly a success. Each of these short stories in this collection were published somewhere else first.
Except for one.
Except for which one?
Click.
Okay, interesting.
All right. Well,
Yeah. Well,
with
there's your
that-
first fun fact.
fun fact. Clay, TJ, do you have any fun facts for us that you can bring to the show?
I have a few. Spent the day reading Brian Evenson interviews, so I gleaned a few fun things. This is what you have to do for the books. You have to read author interviews, whereas with movies, you could go to IMDb. Here's some fun ones. Brian Evanson's first book, Altman's Tongue, was so unsettling for members of the Church of Latter-day Saints, he grew up as a Mormon until he was 12, that it led to basically him having to leave the church and losing his professorship at Brigham Young University. And eventually, he even was not allowed to go to his eldest daughter's wedding because she is still Mormon and it was in the church. And they were like, nope, you're not allowed, sir. So that's kind of two crammed into one, but he is no longer a Mormon, suffice to say. And you can probably tell by reading his stuff. He's still is a college professor. However, he's taught at CalArts in Valencia, California, and he taught a stint at Brown, and I think he's teaching somewhere else right now, but I wasn't able to find like a 2025 interview. The most recent I found was 23. You may look at this cover of A Collapse of Horses and be like, the fuck is this cover doing? And that's fair. It is a weird cover. Now, it is like a horse leg, so I guess you could just think that that's it. It's actually not, though. If you find 4 of his other books that have covers similar to this, you can actually put them all together, and they make one cohesive picture, which was drawn by his daughter, who was hired by the publisher to actually do a chapbook, and then they liked her art in the chapbook so much. And TJ actually has the books I can see over there, so he's going to show them to us. Thank you, TJ. But if you put them together, they make one. It was drawn by his daughter, who was making a chapbook for the same publisher, and they liked her art enough that they actually asked her to do these paperbacks. 3 of the books that are included in the collage are earlier novels of his, and then A Collapse of Horses is the short story collection. There you can see TJ's got the bottom half there, so you've got like an arm and like a wolf paw kind of situation, and then you got your horse legs, and then up top, boom, you got this wolf horse thing, which is pretty sick looking.
And it all up, but I only have 2 arms.
Yeah, you can only do what you can do. Thank you for showing us, TJ.
Yeah.
They look really cool when you put them all together, and you can. I'll throw a link to the picture in the show notes. Another one. Speaking of Last Days, which is the wolf head picture of that collage, it was originally published by Underland Press, which is cool because we on this show have a connection to Underland Press. That is Mark Teppo's press. So yeah, Mark Teppo's the woman who owned it before Mark Teppo originally published Last Days, and Mark Teppo now owns and is the chief editor at Underland. Big Mark Teppo fans over here. We did an episode with him on Sunshine, if you care to see that one. Travis and I were in a camper debating with one of my favorite author heroes, so that was weird, but it was a good time. Yep. And then just some accolades for Evenson. If you're not familiar with him, he's won a lot of things. He's been a recipient of 3 O. Henry Prizes. He's been a finalist for the Edgar Award, the Shirley Jackson Award, and the World Fantasy Award. So he's been awarded in every speculative genre, essentially. He's been awarded for essays. He's been awarded for literary fiction. I believe he's been awarded for basically poetry, for flash fiction. And he is also the winner of the International Horror Guild Award and the American Library Association's Award for Best Horror Novel. So lots of accolades. Evenson is a 5-star general when it comes to writing short fiction. He's an absolute legend. And if you do agree with any part of my bullshit argument in the debate, you can read Brian Evenson's work. That is exactly what I was calling for there, under his pseudonym, where he writes for Alien. He writes...
Let's get TJ up there. All right.
Yeah, TJ got some. He writes for Dead Space IP. He writes for the Alien IP. He writes for the Halo IP. He writes for some other places. Yeah, you got No Exit Aliens. That one is pretty fun. That's the only IP one of his I've read. I stick to his short fiction mostly. Wind Eye is a fucking amazing short story, by the way. If I was going to recommend one, I would say Wind Eye is definitely one of them. But honestly, every short story in this collection is fucking amazing. So,
I love that fact you just told, that he has a pseudonym that he just writes pop genre pop fiction for popular IPs, because I feel like everyone who's in the category of the nose look downers is oh, I would never pick up Alien. It's you're reading the same guy.
Yeah.
Shut up.
This B.H. Evenson is a hack.
Yeah, he's such a hack.
He's no Brian Evenson.
He's no Brian Evenson.
Yeah, the inferior of the Evensons, to be sure. No, but yeah, that's the facts I have. TJ, do you have some fun facts about Brian Evenson?
You got most of the ones I was going to do. I don't know why I wasn't ready enough to call you out on that one, because the postmodern argument kind of falls apart when you pull in his genre work, and I was just
So glad you didn't. It was the only argument I had.
I knew you were going to go there too, and then I was like, damn, I gotta do something here. I really like his work a lot because of how much it is based in that feeling of being unmoored. And I feel like a man who has a lot of experience with the Mormon tradition and faith and religion moving, through his life is a really interesting guy. I don't know. It's a really fascinating story. I feel like a lot of the people whose work I like that is very disturbing or unnerving in some way have been excommunicated from the Mormon Church. Another one that comes to mind is Neil LaBute, who is a screenwriter and playwright, and he's made a bunch of movies like Your Friends and Neighbors, and The Shape of Things, and In the Company of Men. All of these are just very brutal, kind of cruel social plays. The one that I love by him is The Mercy Seat, which is about a man and a woman in an apartment on 9/11, and they're going to use it as an excuse for them to leave their spouses so that they can continue their affair. And the whole time the set is covered in a white ash. And it is just the whole time the guy's cell phone is ringing because his wife is calling him to know, where are you? Are you dead? You were in the towers are falling, and he's going to go start this new life. So Mormonism and brutality and surreality and all sorts of weird shit seem to be kind of tied up. And, I think it's really fascinating. I obviously don't think that's the most fascinating thing about him. I just think he's a really interesting guy. So.
Yeah.
He is. And if you should read his interviews, he's very insightful. He's very generous with his answers. Sometimes you can ask that guy. I have seen in the interviews I read 9 of them because they're genuinely fascinating. They're like essays. And sometimes authors get asked the same questions a lot. And sometimes they will kind of be like, here's my stock answer. I don't feel like he did that ever, because I heard him be asked the same question multiple times in those interviews, and every answer was different based to kind of like where he was in the conversation previously. But, you know, everyone's going to ask, oh, are you a plotzer or a pantser kind of thing.
Yeah.
They ask it smarter than that, but it's the same question at the end of the day. And like, he gave a different answer to each of them, kind of like based on what they had been talking about in the conversation as a whole, which is pretty cool. As someone who reads lots of author interviews, I will say that is not always a thing. And that's something to strive towards, I think. Try to hear every question for the first time if you can. I can tell Brian Evenson does that. And TJ, we hope you'll do that if we happen to ask you some question you've been asked a gajillion times as an editor. Travis does a great job, but we aren't editors, so we don't know what those questions are.
Yeah.
And unless anyone else has fun facts, I would just like to jump in and talk about how full of shit I was in my argument.
Please tell us how full of shit you were.
That was ludicrous stuff to say. And in this day of
Thank God.
deepfakes, and oh yeah, TJ, you were about to be like, you know what? Can you like puke back up the whiskey I gave you last year and never talk to me again?
And then drink it again in front of
And then drink it again, you piece of shit. I do. I have an empty glass here because we skipped beer of the week because I'm just desperate to get to this.
Yeah.
No, man, I love this short story collection. I had read Wind Die. That was the main thing I had read from Evenson, and I think I read a couple others. But I read Wind Die in Richard Thomas's class. He always teaches Brian Evenson. He loves him. And when I picked this up, I mean, dude, Black Bark is so directly up my alley. You like had me hook, line, and sinker with that first one. The whole Blood Angel thing and just the subtle, creepy details. I think he does that excellently. These stories are terrifying because they are paranoid and they are claustrophobic and they are confusing, and the characters act like real people in them. He like weaponizes that. Like he's introducing his family in one of the stories, and he's like, I married a woman, had 3 kids with her, maybe 4. I think I had 4, but she doesn't agree. And we argue about it all the time, and it's actually going to lead me to burn my house down. So, you know, and he just like peppers that in there as if it's a normal fact. He even like says it at the top of the sentence. This is a mundane sentence, basically. You know, like, I'm a boring dude. I had 3 kids. I married a chick. We fell gracefully out of love, which was a beautiful passage. And then he's like, no, I'm pretty sure I got a 4th kid. And he gots to go. Just terrifying stuff. The one where they're burning the prisoner's feet, and he has no idea, will I be next? The horror from that one comes from the utter uncertainty that, again, that paranoia, it traps you in your own mind and makes you think what you would do in these situations rather than being like, this is what my character did. At least that's how I read them, or that's how they read me. Brian Evenson, I was just playing. You know I love you. Your shit's awesome, and great job on this collection. If you're going to clip the previous part, you know, just do me the courtesy of showing this part after that. I didn't mean any of that. And this show is, it's like that sometimes, you know?
Yep.
I rolled an 18, bro. I was so stoked.
You tried so hard.
And I got a nat.
Thank you.
20.
I do not want to argue against TJ with my bullshit argument. Who's going to come like with the heat? And yeah, you know, I just kind of like tried to paddle up that river there, and
I had a lucky day.
we hung in.
TJ, did you lie at all? Do you actually secretly despise Evenson, even though you own?
I did not hide that well. I don't think. I don't think there's any question. And I just wish I had been more articulate in my defense, because I'm such a fanboy of Brian Evenson when it comes to his work. Like Clay was saying, he's incredibly generous with all of his time and answers to questions that various people have at various stages of writing and reading. And I like how much emphasis he puts on craft when he talks about stuff. He's also an incredibly generous dude when it comes to blurbs, when it comes to other people's books. I feel like I see his name on blurbs all the time, and I'm not a person who likes to read blurbs, but he is someone I generally make an exception for. And so if I see that he's recommended something, I'm probably going to want to take a closer look at it. But because he's so generous with his blurbs, I end up reading a lot, which is not a bad thing. I love it. Is my favorite Evenson collection, and I recommend it almost every week, maybe. And there's somebody I got to talk to about it all the time. So I'm super happy to have a lot of other people to talk about it too. Hopefully everyone else liked it.
Nice.
I don't know that Jeremy did. I predict that Jeremy might not have liked it,
Now, hey,
but I don't know.
I think we
Hey,
should tease that one and save it because I'm going to have one that's going to anger people.
Okay, I'm teasing
Yeah.
it.
Ready?
So Jeremy might be
done
coming
teased
up.
it, man.
Jeremy's
All right.
coming up. We'll see if he's right. I didn't read it, and I feel really bad, and I need to read it. I need to get to it. But I'm currently teaching 2 teenage books, reading a biography of George Washington, also trying to make my way through another C.S. Lewis book, and and a text about an evangelical. So yeah, I had a full stack, and I put this on it, and I was like, I'm gonna get to that, and I didn't. But it sounds right up my alley, so I'm excited.
You'll like it. You'll like it for sure.
Yep.
And that's okay. This was short notice. I think I made a scheduling error and told TJ a show that we were doing with somebody else. I double booked that topic basically. So we had to change it, and then TJ was like, "Let's do a short story collection. No one does those." And you're totally right. Like, I love short story collections. I love short fiction, and horror specifically fucking slays at short fiction. There's amazing horror short fiction all over the place. Like, grab a magazine, grab an anthology, and read whatever, like, 3 writers you love. Go read all their other short stories, and you'll find a bunch of other cool shit. So I was really stoked you brought that to the table, man.
I was really happy that you were willing to entertain it because right now the prevailing zeitgeist in the publishing world is that no one will read short story collections except for writers themselves and other people who are kind of in that little insular network. And I think that's such a shame. There's some really brilliant pieces of short fiction out there. And when you get a really great collection like this one, where each piece is so like meticulously placed and the sequence resonates in different ways across the entire book. And by the time you're done with it, you're kind of just in this miasma of what the hell did I just read? And also, who am I and why are my fingers disappearing? Like, you know what I mean? You don't really get a lot of that in the world. Well, I guess in the world, you kind of do, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a really special thing. And I wish more people liked them.
Also, just the fact of like something I've been hammering home for like a year and a half now in my own brain, and hopefully teaching to my students, is like imitation. Art is imitation, like life is imitation. We're always learning from the people who walked before us how to be better people, emulate the ones that we look up to. And like nearly every insanely good author I can think of that's in like the canon wrote short fiction. So I don't know why there's not like an argument for it that's stronger of like, oh, I want to be the next Steinbeck. Yeah, you know what he did? He wrote short fiction. Like Faulkner, short fiction. Hemingway, short fiction.
Really short fiction.
Really short fiction. Like they all did it, and yet it's this thing that I feel like you're right. I'm not a writer. I'm around the reader community and people who are starting to write, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to write a novel," and I'm like, you know, that's not usually where people start. Like if you want to follow in the footsteps of the people you enjoy, most of them started in short fiction. So why don't you start there? But.
Short fiction's a great place too, just to find like what even is a novel idea for you. Because something I love about short fiction, and Evenson spoke to it too in one of his interviews, but it's the ability to write all your ideas. And if they feel like they need to be longer, then let them be longer. But if you write a short story and you're like, yeah, this is good right here. That's great. That's a story that you're going to be able to polish and like submit. And get in front of other readers and other writers. Like it makes a huge difference if you read someone's story and you like it, and then you see their name tag at a con or something. You're like, oh, I loved your story. And you can actually, and I mean, I will tell you that if you tell an author that you loved a short story of theirs, they'll be way more flattered than if you tell them you read their novel or whatever. They'll be like, damn, where'd you find that? You know? It used to be more commercialized too, I think, but we'll talk about that later. I do want to know, Jeremy, what you thought of this particular batch of short stories.
We teased
Now,
him.
hey, everybody. Now, look, a lot of heat is coming at me prematurely.
You do
I
that
feel-
to everybody, so I really don't feel bad.
Yeah,
even
just
at all.
calm down, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Why don't
Jeremy.
you just calm down?
Calm
Hey,
down.
I'm so calm. In fact, I'm gonna get turned up. Let's do this. Let's go right now.
Let's turn it up.
Now here's what I am going to say. This is the first collection of short stories that I have ever read. 'Cause,
Oh, excellent.
Reading's tough sometimes. Actually, no, not really. But I will say,
Well said.
let's start with the overall opinion, which I think the atmospheres throughout the short stories are great. He does a great job of dropping you in where you need to be and kind of filling in what you need to know to get to the end of the story and
Mhm.
not be just horribly confused. And there's this really quick atmosphere building. It's really incredible. It's like walking through a misty wood at night with light wrapping around the trees, making innocent bushes look briefly like a round-shouldered murderer with an axe and a massive erection until you look at the bush and then it's just a bush. So, that's really
With
cool.
massive
I
erection.
will say. Yes.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who saw that silhouette.
Yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Bro, no. Amen.
That's what
All
the
right.
bloodstain actually looked like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But and this may be an issue for me with short stories, short story collections in general, but I wouldn't know. It has the energy of a lot of pilot episodes for
Mhm.
different shows where they're all very dense and packed and doing the work of fleshing out an entire world every single time, which makes it not something that you can just or that I can just power through. I can't spend hours and hours reading this book the way I can other books that have a
Mhm.
more long form narrative. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I do get the thing of being most of the way through and being okay, yes, I get it. The narrator or the POV character is probably insane. I'm just accepting that. I'm going and expecting that at this point. And it's, I like it. It's fine. It's fine and good.
All right, it's fine and good.
Good.
Yeah. I don't like the pilot comparison. I think some of them maybe feel that way, but I do get a little defensive of short stories when people assume they have to be a full-length story to be valid. And I really hate that because I think that a short story should be read as a piece. Now, where I will agree with you, a complete piece, it's enough to be a story. Yeah. But where I will agree with you, Jeremy, wholeheartedly, is that feeling of it is hard to just blow through a short story collection unless it's your second time reading the stories or the third. Then I think you try to read it like TJ spoke to in his arguments as a coherent whole. Because they are, a well-edited collection will always have a coherent whole to it. But I have a hard time powering through them on the first read because it's like a new world every time. It's, like you're saying, it's like a carousel, but it's not even Black Mirror. It's kind of Black Mirror, but you have to learn. It's kind of like that kind of structure. That's definitely the structure that Black Mirror is emulating. Collections have obviously been around longer, but it can be really hard to be okay, I just smashed one, and then there's one of the 3-page ones, and you're smashed it, and then you're okay, now I'm in a 45-page one, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is happening, you know? And sometimes I have to stop, especially if I'm like reading it to debate it, because I'm like, I'm not going to understand this story. So it actually did take me, ironically, much longer to read this than it would a novel of the same size, or even probably a much larger novel for that reason.
Yeah, you got to finish them almost. Like I've had that same thing with some of the collections you've handed me, and I didn't read collections until you started writing in them, and I was like, I got to support. So, but like,
appreciate you.
There's not, because I've grown to become pretty good at picking up where I left off, even in the middle of a chapter of like a cohesive novel. Like I can just stop reading or stop listening and pick it up and be like, oh yeah, that character was here doing this. Okay, we're back in. But a short story, it's like, you can't do it. You have to finish it or you have to wait.
Yep.
So you have time to finish.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If I'm reading them leisurely, that's why I like them. They're my favorite, like, bedside book is like a short story collection, because you can pick however tired you are, like find one that's 4 pages long and read that one. If you like are pretty awake and you want to like read a nice whole story, grab the 45, 50, 60 page short story and go to town on that, you know? Yeah. But I'm with you, Travis. If I start a short story, it's like a point of pride. I'm like, well, I have to read this whole motherfucker. Like,
it's a short story. I can't let this beat me.
Yeah, exactly. Mind over matter there.
I'm curious, Clay, did you read the whole collection front? Or I guess both of you, did you read the whole collection front to back, like cover to cover, or did you jump around and read stories out of order?
I did both. I read it cover to cover first. It did take about a month and a half, and then I jumped around to my favorites to reread them for if I rolled like an 18 or something and got to before this fucking book. What about you, Jeremy?
See, I read cover to most of the way to the other cover, and then I had to stop because we're recording. So
that's fair.
TJ, do you jump around as a short story fan, or are you a start to finish guy?
I will never jump around. No, you know what? I take that back. Sometimes, but only in anthologies.
Only when House of Pain is playing? Okay, sorry.
Only when what, Travis?
I said only when House of Pain is playing.
Right.
And I'm jumping around.
Yeah. Someone had to do it. Like,
oh yeah.
If you're gonna put it on the two
in anthologies, you will.
Sometimes it really depends on the anthology. Speaking from an editor's point of view, I'm pretty into the idea of sequencing a short story collection or an anthology. To me, it's kind of like making a mixtape. There's a reason you put one song after the other and after the next, and there's a reason why you put them all together in the first place and why they are the way they are. And I really like to do, if I'm going to structure collections, either my own or other people's, I like to break them down a little bit more into thematic segments so that you can feel more of that cadence that you're talking about. Like, so for example, you're like, oh, part 1 has 4 stories in it. Each one is about 10 pages. Maybe I'll read 2. Or, then you get kind of a sense of where you're going, of side A, side B kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you know when you're going to flip the tape and you're ready to go. I think that is a very viable way to do it. I think there's also a reason probably why they chose not to do it with collapsed forces. So there's lots of different ways you can do it. I know people who do read short story collections out of order. I have nothing against those people. Everything is valid. Everything is permitted. Do what you want. But coming from somebody who really likes to sequence stuff, just keep in mind that there might be a reason that the stories are sequenced the way that they are, even if you choose to ignore the sequence.
Well, yeah, it's like anytime when I used to buy CDs, or if I like download a new album or something, like I'm going to listen to the entire album start to finish.
Yeah,
for the first thing, and then after that, just throw that shit on shuffle, baby.
Well,
just slide it into the mix.
I was just going to say that it goes to what the thing is marketed for, which I think you touched on, TJ. Like, this is marketed for a sequence, and like that's how albums all used to be made. Like, all albums in music used to be a story, like a sequence of, okay, everyone's going to put this into a tape player or put it on a record player and listen to it start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like, it's not necessary for albums to do that because
Mm-hmm.
Spotify is the primary way people listen. So there actually isn't as much need to be like, okay, you have to listen in order. Now it's like, find the hits and listen to those. And if you like them enough, listen to the stuff around it. But
Mhm.
I always gravitate. So I'd probably read in sequence too, because I gravitate towards the artists that still do the straight line and like tell a story with their songs.
I think it's interesting because even though the album itself kind of has gone out of that fad, like the whole story idea of reading it from cover to cover kind of thing, we're still creatively motivated to make them. People still make albums, and they are still, I mean, most of them, the ones that I listen to anyway, are thematically cohesive in some way and follow a story. And I might even argue with a lot of the stuff that is very, very popular and in the mainstream. I can point to like Taylor Swift, for example, creates and crafts these narratives that have all of these interlocking pieces and all of these clues that her fans are obsessively hunting for. I would argue that I probably did the same thing with this book. You see how many people reading it? Like, there's thematic interplay all over the place. Or am I just paranoid and like hallucinating it and looking for patterns?
Are you in a Brian Evenson story?
It's yes to both.
Yes.
Are you an Evenson Swiftie? That's the question.
Yes. I want Brian's version.
Brian.
Yeah.
I want the Brian's version. I love that.
Brian, go right in the Taylor Swift IP next, please. We all want to see it. We all want to see it.
Tortured Poets Department, but for real, like actual.
Yeah.
T.S. Evenson.
Yes.
There we go.
All right. Well, that wasn't one of my questions, but great discussion off of.
Hey, yeah, we did it. You guys.
Simple little summaries of what we thought.
Hell yeah. Well, that's exactly what that segment's meant to be. And another segment that was meant to be in another spot is now here. What's everybody drinking tonight before we go to break and pee it out?
Yep.
Oh, good.
I'm drinking a Mind Haze Brain Melter
Nice.
IPA. Yeah, that's an Imperial Hazy that I got from the little country store down the street, and I felt it was appropriate for this collection. Definitely some brain melting shit in here happening. Sometimes literally. Like the story that just starts with a meat shower.
Yes.
Let's fucking
Any
go.
corpse.
Crazy.
Yeah. Any corpse?
Also hilarious. Like, that is hilarious.
Any
Right? Another thing
corpse?
is a funny guy.
Yeah. Travis, I wish you knew what we were talking about. Any
I
corpse
know.
is it's
Sorry.
a good one. It's a good one. Yeah, what are you drinking, Trav?
I've probably shown this on the podcast before, but it's one of my favorite bourbons, and yes, it is from Montana. I was like, one of your favorite bourbons from? Yeah, they did a good job. Okay, so from Head Frame Distillery, Butte, America.
All
As
right.
they call themselves, they say we're not Butte, Montana. We're Butte, America.
They do say that.
It's
there
quite
for everyone.
quite a fun town, and quite a good bourbon. I'm a big fan, and it's one of my favorites to mix old fashions in. But tonight I was just having it on the rocks, which have now melted.
It's got the screw top too, which is even better for those haters.
No, it
They
doesn't.
can't fucking handle it right now.
It's not a screw. It's a
Oh, I thought it was a screw top too.
Well,
That
hey.
would have been great.
Anybody who knows anything knows that screw tops, that's kind of where it's at. Come on, guys.
I don't know about that.
You can officially call me nobody then.
I am
Jeremy, what are you drinking?
Screw top.
Well, hey,
You got a screw top going on?
unfortunately, no.
You fucking slack.
That would have been so good if I just pulled out a bottle at Early Times, bottled and bond. But what I've got here...
That's what I always figured you had in your Camelback at Stoker, TJ.
Yeah, you're not trying to get some of that? Come on. But no, what I have here, right, is, I guess, what I'll call a collapsed horse. Or it's a collection of disparate things that go together, apparently. And what it is really is a ginger gin old-fashioned.
Okay.
So I've got this White Lady gin from Montgomery, Distillery in Missoula. Yay.
I've
got this
Yay.
fiery ginger syrup,
Huh?
these orange bitters,
Okay.
Okay.
and some friggin' cherries. It
Hell
tastes
yeah.
crazy, but good.
I bet.
Let's go.
Cheers. Let's collapse the horse.
Yeah, I like that name for a cocktail too. That works, you know.
All right.
The collapsed horse. Well done, Jeremy. TJ, what are you drinking, buddy?
Man, stole my horse collapse there. What I am drinking is a drink that I have called the Soul Burner. It is 100 proof vodka. It
Sure.
is ginger brew, which is, I forget who makes it, but it's some like extra spicy, fiery thing. And then I made my own ginger syrup and added it to the mix, and it burns like hell. So I'm calling it Soul Burner.
I hate that. I feel through the camera, I feel the heartburn.
There's a lime juice too, so
Oh.
keep the scurvy away. But
Oh,
That sounds incredible.
I would eat a gallon of Tums and die.
Travis would just explode like he was full of Mentos. It would not be a good time.
No.
Hopefully, y'all are having a good time out there. Thank you for tuning in to Fermented Fiction tonight. We're going to go to a 5-minute break, and on the other side, we'll have a panel discussion led by Travis. He's going to have some questions for us, and then we're just going to generally talk about how cool Brian Evenson is, probably. Everybody go ahead and turn off your cameras, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Hello, Fermented folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4. The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on real guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently, people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains, like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie, you know?
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
Everybody
exactly what he
freaking
made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset.
So, in your assessment, what did you think of the everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How'd you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
It's our yellow.
Right.
Imagine discovering mummy remains and oh my god, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's very hard-nosed at the beginning. And then I will say another pro of this movie is their chemistry is hot. And I feel if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been ugh. Because she says at one point, she's oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Fuck. And he's and then later when they are kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was 2 lesser actors, I think it would have been an eye roll, felt cheesy, but you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child, drinking beer, and pretending like, Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, I mean, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to step up.
Yeah. Dedicate that time. You're willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
That was so painful. It's one of those painful things.
Oh, that was so
good.
That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
Hey, it says we'll be right back, and we are back. And
oh yeah,
I am going to come in by saying I kind of wasted my update on sports instead of the actual horror related thing that I could have updated on. I mean, I didn't waste it. I think I love UFC, and I'm glad I updated about that. But big day for horror today. You might have seen this in the news. Real big day for horror. 4 horror films nominated for Oscars, which is a big day because that never happens. Not that people have kind of stopped putting stock into award shows. I still kind of do, even though they have lost me a few times with some real bad snubs. But the Oscars are still, for the most part, going to point in directions of quality movies. And it's cool to see they finally are recognizing horror up. That basically, for maybe those not familiar with like award season and stuff, it'd basically be like categorizing a genre fiction novel as literary fiction based on the merit of its writing.
Yep.
And I think that's really cool. Sinners got 16 nominations, which is insane.
Oh yeah, Sinners is a great movie.
Deserved them.
Yeah,
I still don't know how I personally feel about it, like story wise, but it is undeniably a fantastically made film and like deserves all the credit of being recognized. So be cool to see if any of those win. Highly doubt it. It's definitely going to be something.
You gotta believe, Travis.
One battle after another or something like that. But hey, maybe Sinners pulls it off. We're not sure.
It'll get 1 or 2, maybe.
Yeah,
it's not going to sweep 16 because that will be one battle after another.
It will not get Best Picture is my prediction, but I could be wrong. But I'm usually not about Best Picture.
If it doesn't do it, it's because you're not believing hard enough.
Okay, that's fair. On kind of a positive note, I want to start on a positive note because I really liked something you said in your introduction, TJ, and I'm hoping you haven't been asked this 1,000 times as an editor, but you called your job, championing people, and I think that's beautiful for one. So thanks for doing that, and for two, kind of for the whole panel, I can guess our answers, but I'd like to hear a little like more of why you think this is. Like, do you think championing other people is a lot easier than championing ourselves when we're trying to sell products like books and such? Why is that? What makes you really like to be that cheerleader rather than kind of like buy my product? Unless it's the other way, and no judgment. If it's not, it might be.
TJ, please don't forget to answer any of those questions. It'd be very rude to do that on our show.
That is a really excellent question. It really, really is. It's actually something that I struggle with myself when it comes to self-promotion. And really what it comes down to, I think, is a very complex kind of philosophically laced notion that I very strongly believe that once you, the author, put your book out or your material out, there is a death. You, the author, die. You yourself, the person who wrote that book, no longer exist. And the book that is out there is a hybrid creation of what you put out and whatever everyone else who reads it brings to that book. And it's not like yours anymore. But when I think about like the books on my shelf that I didn't write and that I read as a person who reads a lot of books, I don't think of it as like their book. I think of it as my book, my physical book. Like, this is my book. You know what I mean? But it's not my book. I didn't write anything in here, but I still think of it as my book. So it's easier for me, I think, to go out into the world and say, hey, Emma Murray's collection is fantastic and I love it, because I have more faith in my taste when it comes to reading other people's stuff, and I feel more territorial over it than I do my own. Once I put my own stuff out there, I feel sort of divorced from it. Like, that's the elephant graveyard. I don't want to go there. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but
yeah, that's super interesting and not quite
sense.
the take I really expected, but I love it. Clay?
I mean, I agree with that. I think that like in our family culture, Travis, humility is one of the most important virtues that we've always been taught to espouse, and that therefore I have thoroughly espoused. So I really don't like talking about myself too much. I like being a part of things. I like being a part of the party. I like having fun and talking the shit with everybody. But I don't really talk about my stuff very much. I'm more like, why don't you just read it and see what you think? I would rather you did that. Or actually, yeah, you don't need to read it. It's one of those couple emotions for me a lot of the time. But the marketing hyping up of other people's work, I love doing that. I mean, that's just fun and it's easy. And you can do that. Anything you truly enjoyed is something that it's really easy to believe in. And that's why they want people who like the things they're selling to sell those things. And so for me, I love reading. So it's pretty easy to like sell other people's books and sell people on their work.
Jeremy?
Yes. Well, you see, to me, the obvious answer is that it is very easy to champion the works of others because they are hardworking, creative, wonderful people who deserve every success in the world. And I'm some yutz. So if I succeed at something, it's obviously a fluke, or people are just being too nice to tell me that I suck. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
nailed it.
Nailed it, dude.
Yeah,
Nailed it.
nailed it.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
I love that, Jeremy. I love that. I think my whole job has been built on that. Teaching is definitely that, like, I want to bring all the greatness out of these great kids that I'm around every day. And then they're like, hey, you did a good thing. And I'm like, no, I didn't. That was just like, I just picked the books to read and told them what to read. And they did it. It's not me. And I do love, Clay, what you said about the humility thing, because I do think, and this is kind of a follow-up question, maybe in the writing industry, do you see this? Because like so much of your guys' job, I don't know on the editing side, but as writers is to market yourselves, which I feel like sucks, and I'm sorry. but like, there's a level to where I have seen like humility turns into kind of like a false humility that's actually this weird twisted kind of pride, where, and I'll just use an example that I hope I don't sound like an a-hole. See, I'm already apologizing for it. It's like in fighting sports, which I do a lot of. I coach boxers how to grapple so that they don't get their butts kicked in the cage. And so I've been fighting since I was 5, but you run into a lot of people who are like, I bet I could take you. And like,
yeah,
you want, the humility in me wants to be like, yeah, maybe you probably could. But like the reality of it is probably not. Like, I have been doing this a very long time. I know the people that could destroy me in a fight, and they're all in the gym that I coach at, and they're really tough people. So yeah, I hope I don't sound like an a-hole. But is there that in the writing industry, I guess is what I'm saying, of like this, when you're marketing yourself, this want to be the humble writer who's like not trying to talk too much about themselves, but also when do you recognize that like, hey, enough people have told me that I made a good product. Maybe I should just start saying like, I think I made a good product.
I don't know that it comes down to that, really. I don't know that it has to do with like a good or a bad product. I think for me, what it really comes down to is I don't really trust anybody else who says that their stuff is good. I don't like that someone is telling me that their stuff. Let me figure out if your stuff is good for me. If you're going to tell me what I think of your stuff, then I'm not interested in reading your stuff. That's a personal thing. Like, I know that's a very spiky kind of like hot take, but like, I like encountering books that I've never read before. I like reading stuff in submissions to magazines that I read for from people whose names I have never heard of before in my life. But if I don't know, like I believe hype is a poison. I hate it when like a bunch of people are like, this book is so good, you have to read it. This movie is so good, you have to see it. Why haven't you seen it yet? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, let me encounter the stuff that I want to do on my own time. Let me read what I want to read when I want to read it. And I think the books that I need to read will come to me when it is my time to read them. And I find that that's often the case. It kind of happens that way.
Yeah. Do you build?
I agree with that.
Do you build like a trusted group of people you take? Like, I hear you on the like advice of movies, especially. I'm a big film guy, but books as well. Of like, there's people that if they're like, you have to watch that. I'm like, I don't have to.
It's that same thing.
There's like some small circles of people in my life that they're like, hey, you really have to watch this movie. I'm like, oh shit, if he said I have to watch it, or she said I have to watch this.
That's different though.
I need to go there.
There are circles, there are criteria involved, and it doesn't always have to be like dependent on one person or another person or who they are to me or who I am to them or something like that. It could just be that we share an interest in something and they say, oh, we both like the same thing. You might enjoy this. I'll be like, okay, I'll make a mental note of that. And there are certain people whose opinions I trust a little bit more than others. Generally tends to correlate and correspond with the degree that they know me. Because a lot of people would, like, if they just viewed a list of stuff about me that was out of context, like the books that I really like and the movies that I enjoy sometimes and just my general demeanor, they might be like, what's that kid's favorite movie is probably some crazy art house movie or whatever. My favorite movie is probably Twister.
Twister. Did you like Twisters?
It's you know what? That's a really long story. I won't get into it. I thought it did what it should have. I don't think it will ever eclipse the original, unfortunately.
It won't, but I enjoyed the shit out of it.
I gotta say, actually, okay, let me tell you. I saw it.
No, TJ, wait. TJ.
Perfect.
We can do this next year. We
Oh,
can do it next season. We'll do Twister 2. I think it totally counts as a horror movie.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, that would be really interesting.
I will debate you on Twisters.
Yes.
We can talk about whether Glenn Powell is hot enough to justify all the mistakes.
You've never seen it miss this house and that house and come for you. I love that shit.
I haven't seen that shit.
Just take your shirt off, Glenn.
Yeah.
Come on, Glenn. What are you doing?
Give the people what they need in this time of crisis.
Anyway, Clay, you probably have a deeper thought than Glenn Powell's six-pack, but
not about Twister. How am I supposed to think of
no.
anything else? But yeah, I think you said in your question something to the effect of, if enough people tell you have a good product. I definitely don't think you should validate yourself based on the opinions of others.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should base your self-worth or your work's worth on that. In my opinion, by the time you edit a story, once you learn how to edit a little bit, I think you get into a place where you can read something enough times, because you lose the magic of it. You can't read it as a reader for the first time ever again, ever, because you created it. But by the time you start to read the finished product, even then, you're reading it from such a different place that you have no idea how your reader will experience it or what they will bring to it. And it's hard to like it for a period of time. Like, you rewrite it so many times, but you get to a place where like, this is up to my standards. This is something I can put in the world and not feel like an idiot for. Like, I respect the work that I've done for this. This to me feels worthy with sharing with the world. This feels like it has reached its proper maturation. This is something I'm willing to put my name on, because like TJ said, once you put it in the world, it ain't yours anymore. And more than that, it becomes a part of your identity in your industry, amongst all your peers, amongst people you don't know. And you better be sure you're stamping something that you're proud of, so be proud of it yourself first. And understand that pride doesn't mean it's perfect. Pride doesn't mean like you have to love every piece of it. Pride doesn't even necessarily mean you have to like it. Because frankly, by the time you've written a story like 8 times, like you probably don't like it that much. Not at first. You'll come back to it and you'll like it later. You will. But like honestly, it took me like a year to like Crevasse again. I like hated it when I first put it out. It was my first longer form thing, and I rewrote it a bunch of times. I changed a bunch of shit. And when you do that, it's kind of hard to tell, like, does this still fit together, or do I just think it does? And that's where you need good editors like TJ that you can trust to help you make sure that some of those things are, in fact, the way they should be. And shout out to my editor, Joe Donnelly, Dark Forest Press. And yeah, they do a great job up there. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. It was a bit of a ramble, but that is something I'm a big
I think you got there. And I think everybody's hit the point of it where like you have to be able to like show others what is getting you excited about your own work. Otherwise, nobody's even going to want to look at it. Because if you can't communicate what is like something positive about your own stuff, then nobody's going to think anything about it. And, you know, I don't think I have anything more to add on that other than one random story that Travis's question did remind me of, which is, and it was pretty funny to watch happen. And Clay will remember this as the time that the Boston Brawler came up to me and him at karaoke. He took a look at me, and then he looked at Clay, who is, you know, smaller than me, and decided to pick a fight with Clay, which was the wrong answer.
Who had wrestled since he was.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
it's understandable.
Size
like
makes
a head taller than Clay.
Size, people think of short. They're like, oh, short? Yeah.
I got that.
Like,
those people have no idea what leverage is.
Nope, they don't.
That's all I have to say about that.
And I want to be clear about my previous thing to further try and make myself not sound like an a-hole. Every coach at the gym I coach at can kick my ass. Okay, these guys.
Yeah, that's how coaches.
Would you want anyone teaching you who couldn't?
Yeah, exactly. They're expert boxers.
Exactly.
I'm just the wrestling guy, but they would knock me out with one punch. They're also both 4 inches at least taller than me, so their reach is I don't have a chance.
To put a kind of a pin on it, I really do think that humility is good, and marketing is also good. There's no binary between good and bad, and what is and what isn't. And there is something to be said for identity. There is something to be said for the fact that you get out there and you're championing your voice as well as others, because what you have to say is valuable and important and should be readable. You know, you assume it is. But I think there's also something to be said for, you know, underrepresented voices feeling as though they need to cultivate a sort of false modesty for the sake of anything. I think everybody's voice deserves an equal chance to be heard. And I think that it's important that people seek out those voices, as well as those voices telling other people to seek them out. I don't think it's always great to be falsely humble or humble. I do think that there are times where you should promote yourself and your work if you believe in it. But what I do is I just completely efface the idea of identity altogether and lean into the whole anonymity, ambiguity thing. And aside from appearing on podcasts where people can see my face, I wear a mask and tell people I don't know what my name is. And I'm not even really actually TJ Price. I'm just an actor he hired and really the best night.
I'm just an actor he hired. I love that. All right. Well, speaking of actors and hiring and masks, this is not a very good segue, but I've been dying to ask this question ever since the debate, which was not that long ago. I don't know why I'm talking about it like it's in the distant past.
20 minutes ago.
4 years.
Far and long ago in the 20 minutes prior. Do archetypes play better in short fiction? Because I'm starting to think maybe they do, and maybe it's recency bias. I recently read Nathaniel Hawthorne's short story, The Great Stone Face. And that whole story is just like archetype after archetype after archetype. And it's beautiful. And it tells the story using those archetypes to great advantage. And yeah, I think I'd just love to hear y'all's opinions, starting with TJ, of like, it seems to me the short fiction format works better for people to accept, like, yes, you are just kind of creating a character I've seen before, but you're doing it because you have 10 pages to tell me the point. And so here it is. And like, yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I think there's so much potential for many different applications and varieties of use when it comes to characterization and archetype in a short fiction, all the way down to, I mean, microfiction, drabbles, poetry. I think characterization can take many different forms. I think maybe one of the reasons why that feeling is so prominent for you is that archetypes show up clearer in short fiction because there's less space. So I think it's easier to sort of see them through what's going on some of the time. I also think it has a lot to do with the morphology of the folktale. A folktale is specifically told in a very encapsulated amount of time and has a very particular structure, rise and fall, the whole 9 yards. So I think identifying with those sort of subtextual currents is a way of like identifying things. I will say that Evenson specifically does the thing that a lot of really successful and awesome short fiction writers do, which is they sort of make their character into a cipher where they're not really a totally formed person with, like, I couldn't tell you, for example, what, Sugg or Raleigh's favorite pop song was. I couldn't tell you anything about their favorite brand of granola or cereal or anything like that. I can tell you what they kind of look like in my head. I don't really know. I don't think Evenson really ever gives us any like actual individuating physical details about things other than that which is important and central to the narrative. So basically what happens is the characters take on those aspects that we can assign to archetype and stereotype because there's nothing else to really go on in the narrative structure. So we sort of, it's kind of like how in the dark, your eye will seek out any point of light, no matter how dim. And I think those little pieces are the archetype that you're talking about underneath the story.
And a follow-up on that to you, and then sorry, Clayton and Jeremy. But like I think short fiction does that really well. And I think you're right that it fills in our brain fills in the gaps that it's not intentionally kind of filling in because it doesn't have the space to do so. So we're like doing the light filter thing. I really like that metaphor. I've seen it done very poorly, in my opinion, in like, say, really pop fiction, some of the, I'm not saying romantasy as a whole is a bad genre. There's good romance.
TJ will. TJ, like, you okay? You sound kind of sick, buddy.
I'm just the actor.
The actor is pretty sick right now.
Buddy, I've tried to read one romantasy. It was very popular. I will not defame it on here because we try not to.
Yeah, don't do that.
But
I'll do it.
It did the same thing, but in like almost, I felt the nefarious way of like, it basically was like, I'm going to use all these things that you already know to just do the work for me. And I'm going to like build this skeleton that you're going to think is deep. And I've had conversations with friends that are like, oh, it's such good world building. And I'm like, it's not. It's just like 6 other books, like wearing a skin suit. Like, how do you not see this? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you could articulate, what do you think the difference is between that tool being used so well in short fiction, like Evenson's, and then when it's used for evil in unknown romantasy book I'm talking about?
Well,
a sexy cosplay of all of those elements.
I feel like I'm not exactly sure that I know 100% what the answer is to that. What I will say that I think the motives or the goals behind the actual creation of those two pieces are probably different. Whereas we have short fiction written by Brian Evenson, which is philosophically challenging and interesting, and the character is a cipher. There's a lot of ambiguity and stuff that isn't really necessarily, like kind of Clay was saying, it's not immediately accessible. It's not the kind of thing that you can read all at once. It's not, you can't lose yourself in it like you can with a lot of the other example that you gave. And I think that there's a difference between that and then the person who writes something that is beholden to formula. It's beholden to formula because it wants to be popular, because it wants a great number of people to like it, read it, consume it. It's about content creation and consumption, as opposed to what I think of as someone who's genuinely trying to make art in a different way. I'm not saying that they are mutually exclusive, but I think that the aims of both of those things are very different. One being, I'm going to take these elements and intentionally use them in the way that everyone knows what they are, so that they are familiar beats in a story that I can, if I get a little lost, I can still find the trail, as opposed to something which intentionally drops you in the middle of the forest at night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that too. And I think you've just made it click in my brain. It's like the difference between passivity and activity. Like with Evanson's book, I'm assuming, I haven't read it yet, but I'm assuming I'll have to like work, but it's good work. I have to like try to understand what it's telling me, versus the other one is like just happening to me. And that feels so like so wrong when you like see it. Like I think when people don't see it, they're just like, oh yeah, I'm being entertained. But when you notice it, you're like, I'm like assaulted right now.
Actually, you bring it back to your earlier metaphor of the person that you know could beat you. I feel like every time I read a Brian Evenson story, when I read this collection, I read Black Bark 5 times in a row, just over and over and over and over again in a loop, because I kept looking for details. And I swear to God, this is the guy that beats me up.
Yeah,
you're like figuring shit out. I'm really good at puzzles and mazes and finding clues and hidden stuff. I cannot figure this shit out. And he's the guy that beats me up. So this is the gym that I continue to return to all the time, to get beat up constantly by someone who's just better. And,
and get better and get better.
That's the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clay, Jeremy, I hope you didn't lose the question. I can try and re-ask it if you did. But I'm glad we did what we just did, because it was great.
Yeah, that's good. I remember the question, and to answer it, I would say, like, there is an economy of language when you tell a story. Like, you have to use the space you have effectively, and when you have something the length of a short story, or even like the length of a feature film, you do like have to simplify what you can, so you can focus on the things that you don't want to gloss over, the things that will make the story suffer otherwise. Like you got to pick your battles, essentially, or you can try to gloss over everything and do every trope but sexy, and get to whatever books Travis refuses to give the name of.
Yeah. I'll give the name of one movie that I think happened to me, and it's probably my least favorite movie of all time. Star Wars Episode 9.
That's a great example of a movie that happens to you.
Despise that film. Anyway.
That's not a movie that happens to you. That's a movie that's done to you.
Oof.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. But it's also a movie that you like chose to go to.
I did, and that is maybe the only time in my life I've left the theater genuinely angry. I was like, J.J. Abrams, you just pissed me off.
How dare you, sir?
Look, we all know JJ's not a closer, all right? He's your opener. He kicks it off, and then you get him out of there. He's got no business coming back.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. He's the Brandon Sanderson of that shit. Just like, I'll come in and close it. I'll come in and close it up.
He's not, no. Clay, do you remember the question?
Absolutely not.
I was asking,
you want to do every trope but sexy?
Do you think archetypes play better in short fiction?
I think whether you mean to have an archetype in your story or not, people are going to put one in there. And that's something you have to accept as a writer. People are going to latch on to something you do or some part of the story that you tell. and they're going to make their own archetype, their own interpretation. That's what TJ was speaking to earlier about every reader brings themselves to the story. So like they have a say in what the story is, what it's about, and how well any of that is executed. So you can be like Brian Evenson and very intentionally choose every aspect of your story. And you have more control, I think, over an interpretation that way. But it's also perfectly fine to use tropes to do the heavy lifting of, say, some part of the world building or some part of the character development, and free up some space in a short amount of words to tell the story that you're really passionate about telling, and it doesn't matter what that is. That's my answer.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I like the no matter what, a person's going to apply an archetype. I think you're right. Like audiences are going to do a lot of things to your story that maybe you couldn't anticipate.
Let the author die. Kill them if you have to.
I don't know if I really agree with the author death thing.
It's
the way
not
you articulated in the past, Jeremy. But I'm gonna.
Hey, he said it too.
It's a transfiguration. It's like the death tarot card. It doesn't mean death. It means transformation. And it's just with the archetypes. It's archetypes are pre-established. They're sensed. It comes from the Jungian collective unconscious. They exist without our bringing anything to it. So we see them and read them into anything that we consume anyway.
Yeah, we're feeding them into our stories as well. That's as subconscious as the reader's reaction to it, creating that same archetype. So I agree with you, TJ. And I'm not, for the record, saying death of the author. Just I agree. Transformation, like you surrender that art to the world, but per my previous answer to a different question, like make sure you like what you put out in the world then, because that is how it will be consumed. Like if you're lucky enough for your work to be consumed, expect everybody else to be telling you what they think about it. That's the other side of that lucky coin.
Yeah, I definitely, I wasn't saying like that. I'm saying like I'm the TJ, just so you know, I'm the resident objectivist. We'll probably talk about this at Stoker.
I was, for the record, speaking directly to Jeremy, who accused me of saying death of the author.
Okay.
I was saying death of the author.
What I'm
you
saying,
also said I said it too.
We're all saying.
No, I said TJ said it too.
Oh, TJ would say it
before.
I was talking about the Barthian kind of concept of the death of the author, but I get what you mean.
I wasn't talking about actual murder. Everybody, calm down.
I didn't assume that.
Bottom half of this podcast just wants to kill everybody. Jeez.
Yeah, we're just losing.
Travis,
our shit.
What do you got to say there as the resident objectionist?
I was just gonna say, I specifically said I'm not sure if I'm behind your articulation in the past, Jeremy, of death of the author, but author can't talk. I do agree that it stops being your product at a certain point, and I'd love to have a discussion on that. But I'm very pro archetype in the sense of like the moment I got over myself of like, being the pretentious hipster kid that was like, I gotta find everything new, and finally just
which is such a fucking archetype, by the way.
So dumb, yeah. It's such an archetype, and just started being like, oh, there is nothing new. Like it's all, I don't know. I love to hear your opinions. I think it evolved. It changed stories for me in a way of like, now when I encounter archetypes, it's no longer this like, oh, I've seen that before. It's like, oh, I've seen that before. I'm so excited to see what's done new to it. And with it. And how does this person use this tool that's been around forever? And even rereading classics, like I loved, and I'm so glad I didn't read them in high school, but like recently reading the Iliad through the Aeneid and seeing all the things that are like so baked into our culture now. And just being like, oh, that's where this comes from. Let's see what happened in its origin. That's cool. I just love to hear your thoughts on that.
That's cool. Did you read the Lattimore translations of the Aeneid and the Iliad? Because there's a lot of new ones out that are really fascinating.
No, I read Fagel's. I have the Lattimores, but I haven't read them yet.
I think Lattimore's is the one that I started with, but there's so many new ones now out there. There's even one that was written in like blank verse. Anyway, the crazy thing about that I always think about is the fact that the library at Alexandria burned. And what we have remaining are like fragments, the totality of the stuff that was lost during burning of the Library of Alexandria blows my mind. The stuff that we consider archetypes that are basically foundations for the way that we act and think about our society today in our modern world could be based on the ancient world soap operas for all we know.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
Oedipus Rex could have been an episode of The Young and the Greek Rest. Like, who knows?
Yeah, Days of Our Lives.
No, because we don't have that context. And to me, that's like a kind of cosmic horror, thinking about like the underpinnings of our modern world are constructed on like garbage and we don't know it, but we venerate it nonetheless. In any case, I do agree with you on the idea of archetypes, and I have completely forgotten the question that you asked.
It wasn't really a question, just more of a discussion of like, I think I've changed the way I read because of realizing like, hey,
newness,
instead of encountering this thing that's been used so often and saying like, I don't want to use that. It's more like, oh, I want to see how this author uses that. It's like,
kind of like, it's like a redefining of the word new, or the feeling and the phenomenon of what is new to you. And I think that looking for pure originality is difficult, because I don't really think that that can be ascertained outside of a subjective framing. So, I mean, something that is brand new to me could be old hat to somebody else. And who knows? There is no way to objectively say that this is an entirely new and original thing unto itself. It's the Kant, the thing that is, the Ding non sich, or whatever it is that he talks about. Reason talks about that. And I think that, you know, even they talk about it in the Bible. They say to Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. All the way back when the Bible was written, they didn't think there was anything new. So I really think it has more to do with a reframing of the phenomenon of originality and what moves us than it is about actually thinking that there's something. And I think there is that moment in our development at some point as people who like and consume entertainment and art, that seeing different facets of the same thing is very much like seeing a new thing every time.
Yeah. And Clay, I'd like to toss it to you specifically about this short story collection, because it sounds like it's, you know, it fits in that genre of literary fiction, which usually I think oftentimes is associated with newness or a fresh take. And like, so what is it that Evenson brought to what we know, to the horror genre, that was new in the sense of how he looked at a thing? And then also, yeah, if you just want to speak on any of the original thought.
Yeah. What I think Evenson brings to the table is exactly what TJ said in his argument, and something I referenced in my confession. But it's that immersion. Like TJ was saying, the characters are almost like vessels for the reader, and that is accomplished through very intentional narrative structural choices on every level of the story. And it's pretty remarkable. Like, if you read it and you're paying attention as like a writer, like he's just a fucking pro. Like when you sometimes, like Travis, anybody, whatever your favorite thing is to do, you know, when you see somebody doing it well because you've seen it enough times. And Evenson's just like a pro. You know, it's like reading N.K. Jemisin. I get the same effect. Like I read like 2 sentences of hers and I'm like, damn. Like, I don't even know what this story is about because this writing is so fucking beautiful. But like, to speak more to what he brings to the table, it is that immersion. It's that character as the vessel. These stories aren't telling you what to think. They're asking you what you think. They're like, they're challenging you to think about what you would do in this situation. And that's where Evenson's writing them from. He's writing them from a place of like being afraid of this thing. And as a way to cope with that, putting a character in the situation and just seeing like, man, what would we do here? You know, what would a normal person do? And that every character in Brian Evenson's work feels like a normal character. And as many like a normal person, a real person. Anybody who can accomplish that in like highbrow horror, that's pretty hard to do. It's pretty hard to not lean into the utterly absurd, and it's pretty hard not to lean into the and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with leaning into the absurd. Go for it. I love absurdity. But like it's hard to make characters feel real in like the variety of circumstances that he does in this book. So like he doesn't tell any stories like contextually speaking that I've never heard before. I've heard a prisoner story. I've heard a possessed doll story. I've heard a Western of like two boys that are, one of them shot and is going to die and the other is trying to figure out what to do and they can't find their cabin. Like I've heard all these stories contextually before, but I've never heard them told like this definitively. Like sometimes you read a story or watch something and you're like, oh yeah, that was kind of like this other thing, is like the first thing you think, you know? If that's your reaction, it's like Brian Evenson doesn't do that. I'm like, that wasn't like anything else somehow, even though I've read this story 100 times, contextually speaking.
I think I've found that to be one of my like highest compliments to an author is when I look at their, in my own head. I'm not saying like I have anyone listens to me ever, but like in my head,
we listen to you, bro, every week.
Yeah, I'm listening. I've been listening.
Highest compliment I can pay to an author is when I look at their comps and then I read a comp and I'm like, yeah, it was close, but it wasn't them. Like that's something special. Like one of my favorite authors is Kazuo Ishiguro that wrote Never Let Me Go. And like I have been hunting for someone that sounds like him for a while and I can't find, like he's so good in the way he speaks and I keep trying to find like a comp. I've read all the comp lists. I'm like, they're not Kazuo though. Like they're good. But they're not Kazuo. Yeah. But Jeremy.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna address that the way I often do, which is, it's like the difference between, reading The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and reading Eowyn Colfer's follow-up called And Another Thing. One of those things is not like the others because it's less good. But, when it comes to archetypes, tropes, common story beats, and so on, I feel like, they serve as a lens through which stories can be analyzed because the audience is just going to fill those things into where they fit while they're thinking about the thing they either just consumed or are consuming. And, it can be used very well. I'm not going to say it's usually that because you can tell when somebody build something completely out of used ideas without, doing anything with them. Because that sucks. It sucks big hairy ass, and we don't like that around here. But yeah. But one of the things I do like about this collection of stories in particular is that like it plays with that. It lets you fill in as many blanks as you need for the stories themselves to work. Because like I think somebody mentioned it before, you get like almost no visual descriptions of any of the characters. You just get a name that your brain is like, this is probably what a person with that name looks like. And you just go from there.
Yeah, totally. Sug. I have a Sug in my head. Sure.
Yeah.
Like there's a Sug in there. He's got overalls. Did anyone else's Sug have overalls?
Yeah, overalls. Maybe half the time, one of the straps on the overalls was unbuttoned because his name was
on Saturday. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just hearing Sug out of context, and so I'm not even thinking of a human. I'm thinking of like an orc in a D&D campaign. Like that's Sug.
It's not far off.
We don't know for sure that he wasn't an orc. We literally don't know that.
Or that he wasn't the other guy in the other story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the best blurbs that I read about Brian Evenson is from Peter Straub. And Peter Straub says, this is my favorite description of his work that I've come across yet, where he says, Evenson places himself furthest out on the sheerest, least sheltered narrative precipice, narrative at the far edge of narrative possibility, where he can speak clearly and plainly of loss, violence, and pain.
Damn. That's a hell
real
of a
good.
blurb right there.
Ooh.
Well done, Peter.
Anybody else rock hard over here or what?
I think we're all
Just like
definitely
that.
rock hard.
just
That's
like
why we
that
keep the
shadow-
cameras up here.
Just
That's
like
why we
that
keep the
shadow
cameras
you
up here.
saw in the bushes.
And that's how it feels. I feel like you're up on the sheer mountain face, and all you have is just this biting cold wind.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this crevasse behind you, and you know.
Hey, plug. I think that points to. I read a lot.
I do want to chime in there too, though. I mean, I think it's fascinating that you say it accomplishes what you were saying, Jeremy, because it also accomplishes the opposite. Like, I think if you really go into Brian Evanson's story with an open heart and an open mind, it's like really distracting. It's disorienting, literally, to read a Brian Evenson story. And so you actually, I feel like anyway, have less time as a reader to like attach yourself to whatever threads you thought were going to be presented in the story, which is a really interesting, like, other side of the same coin. Because, yeah, I mean, I did really feel like the story was about me on some level so many times. And that was just accomplished through like brilliant writing. It was it was quite an experience.
Yeah, it was crazy because there's like I don't know about everybody else, but there was like this almost like this sense of urgency I felt while reading to try to piece things together, and it basically always culminated with the end of the story being like, aha, and I'm like, wait, no, not actually aha. He just told me what. Okay.
That blurb reminded me of, I read a lot of theology for my job. And I can't remember the book I read this from, but it was a beautiful quote that has stuck with me of, the most important things we are meant to learn in the world come from the unknown. And I think some horror fiction can do that in a really profound way of like, it's okay that you don't grasp everything, at least the first read, maybe not any of the reads. You're learning all the same. It's like counter to this materialism culture we have of like, if I can't see it and touch it and concretely identify every possible part of it, I can't learn from it. It's like, no, stories are not the best. Stories don't do that.
That's the opposite of the way people should learn. That makes me crazy. I wrote about this a lot recently because I really like saying I don't know. I've always said I don't know. How the hell else are you supposed to learn if you don't tell people you don't know something? If you go around telling everyone you know everything, then what are you ever going to learn? It drives me nuts. So saying you don't know and admitting to that, cloud of unknowing and, sort of allowing yourself to exist in a state of not knowing, I think is a very spiritual thing. And I think that it also sets us up for a binary that is a really weird thing. Like knowing and not knowing is not all there is. There are a lot of other things. Evenson does this in his collection. He says things like, it was this, or no, it was that. Oh, no, maybe it was this other thing. So he constantly is setting up these binaries and then disrupting them with either a third or a fourth possibility right at the beginning of the story. And so he makes you doubt your preconceived assumptions about what could happen and what might happen, which is a lot like life. And so that creates the immersion.
Or even how
go
ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering if you could give us a specific example from the short story that you'd love to talk about regarding that.
Well, actually, the one that I wrote this during, and I mean, like I said, I was taking crazy ass notes when I was reading this earlier. And the one that I read was The Window, which is towards the end, actually. And not really, it's not that it's not like a standout, but it fits in the collection, I think, a little bit less prominently. But he says the opening lines are, he was all but asleep, or he was asleep and then the sound woke him, or he was dreaming and never awoke at all. So at the outset, you're like, well, wait, okay, so you're telling me one thing, and now my brain is starting to create a fictional world that could spin off from this. I'm already trying to prognosticate what's going to happen next. But then I hit the next sentence and I'm like, well, wait a minute, that completely invalidates the thing that I was just working on. So that world comes to a screen and a new one begins. But then I'm like, wait a minute. doesn't have to be one or the other. It could be any one of these things. And now I'm in the forest at night and I don't know where I am. And that's a lot of what this is. So, yeah.
And right there too, you have a beautiful like subversion of a trope.
Yeah.
That's like Evenson having enough people in enough groups be like, I don't know if you know this advice, but like you should never really have a character wake up, start a story. Eventon's like,
many times it drives me
I hear
nuts.
you loud. I hear you loud and clear. I'm gonna just have him wake up. Maybe
he woke up. Maybe
How about
he didn't.
that?
Maybe he didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe just
he might
suddenly
still be dreaming.
He was awake.
Maybe he didn't wake up. You fucking figure it out. That's not
Well,
my
and you
job.
think about it too on the linguistic level. You're talking about the story, a report where the prisoner is told not to make any noises. They say, "Hush, or we'll burn the soles of his feet." And I didn't think about this until I got to one of the later stories. I actually think it was the last one where he's talking about how he fell asleep by the fire and the soles of his boots melted from the heat. And I thought to myself, oh, burning souls. Hell. Did he intend that, or is that just like a happy coincidence that happened in these stories? That like Husher will burn the soles of his feet, the burning souls of these people in this hell. Is that what's going on here? Did he do that intentionally? Because if he did, I'm really going to dig into this. And the more you dig, the more you see, even though everything looks perfectly effortless. The closer you look, there are all these tiny little miniature feats of engineering going on. And the more, the more you see and the more complex it gets. And then I go nuts.
Well, that's literally.
Can we talk too about how brilliant of an intro to this collection Black Bark is in that regard? I mean, it sets up everything. It's fucking amazing.
Everything and nothing.
Everything and nothing. It's like you can read that story by itself. Yeah.
That's literally like the master of any craft. I think you just articulated exactly what you're going to see from them. Of like, it looks effortless, but there's so much there. And again, to bring it back to fighting sports, like professional, like highest level boxing matches are more boring to watch than amateur boxing fights, because amateurs are just like swinging for the fences every punch. And you're like, this is awesome. They're just trying to, and like the pros are like picking each other apart like a chess match. And it's like, yeah, that's to most people, it's like, why are they just walking around? Like, and so you don't
during the debate. I don't know why I didn't come up with that. Knock them out.
Damn.
You could have fucked me up, dude.
You know what though? The best craftsman never uses tools unless he has to.
There you go.
Another thing that you kind of reminded me of, to point back to the beginning of all of this, was I think that's like one of my favorite parts of Aristotle is the golden mean. And like you say, it's like there's a perceived binary always between, and it made me think of the humility and the pride. That perceived binary of like, oh, there's the two things. But like Aristotle, one of our most ancient philosophers, was like, but where you want to be is actually like in the middle, but closer to one. Because if you're all the way on the one, it's usually not going to be good, even if it seems like the best, like, oh, I'm always humble. It's like, no, actually, you just lie to people.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a really cool thing you pointed out about that with writing. Of like, let's present what seems to be that binary, but inside of it, we're going to play with that golden mean and that slider in the median.
Travis, since we've already had a certain threshold met of pretension, can I ask a dumb question?
Yes, please. I have one more pretentious question, but yeah, go fire away.
I would like to, I would just honestly like to know, because it would be fascinating. And Travis, I'm going to include you in this. You can go ahead and go back to full screen for everybody.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to include you in this. I want to know, what is everybody's favorite story in the collection? And then I want to know why. And Travis, I want you to tell me which story you're most intrigued by.
Ooh, out of the ones people say,
based on our,
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so everybody go ahead and look at your table of contents.
This is torture.
And Travis, go ahead and give us some distraction. Distract the fermented folks. Tell them a witty anecdote.
I don't have witty anecdotes. That's not me. My brother recently, you can't see it, and I'm not going to go get it because I'm wearing sweatpants and I hate to be seen in sweatpants. Oh, you can kind of see it. He bought me for Christmas. This is a Banicula poster.
Yes.
And, I can't move my finger correctly. There we go. Banicula is the tits. I love Banicula.
It is the tits.
It's a children's story about a perceived vampire bunny that's really just kind of a normal bunny, but everyone's threatened by the bunny coming into the household, thinks he's a vampire. I'm inspired by Banicula. I'm currently trying to write my own children's book. And I've returned to Banicula a few times to figure out how to capture that voice, as well as C.S. Lewis, which I know is not everyone's cup of tea, but I really like his wit. I like the British humor he brings to things. But yeah, so that's a thank you to Clay as a distraction for this awesome vampire bunny poster.
I didn't even look. I was so busy looking at the.
Why did you pick something so distracting?
Sorry, Banicula's distracting.
Jeez, Trav, you're supposed to distract the audience, not us.
I know. I couldn't. Yeah.
And you were thanking me, so like it would have been
distractible
really rude for me to read while you're thanking.
How dare
me
you?
like that.
I could just pull Calvin and Hobbes down and read that to you. It's right here.
Read the translation of the Iliad. Just go to a random page and start reading that.
I also can't.
TJ hasn't read.
I also can't get that because it's back there and I'm in my sweatpants.
I see. You're still rock hard from earlier where TJ read that line.
That'd be real embarrassing.
You got the gray sweatpants.
Yeah.
That is a bad comment.
It'll just show. Come on.
Here we go. Here's a distraction for Clay and no one else. I have.
Why are you distracted? I still gotta pick a story.
I know. I'm never going to finish buying the Game of Thrones series because Song of Ice and Fire.
How dare you, sir?
I found the original print copies, and there's only 4.
Oh, nice.
Because they never did Dance with Dragons in this style.
Dang.
And if anyone ever finds a link to the 4th one, it's probably going to be like $500, but please send it to me because I will drop that cash. Because I have almost the whole series of the original.
I believe in you. You can.
That's a huge geek flex, dude. I appreciate it.
3 different used bookstores.
You thought you could fuck this guy up in book collecting? You'll fuck you up in that too.
Nah.
But not in an asshole-ish way. So I picked my story, so I can start.
This was easy. I don't even know why I'm trying to like psych myself out of this.
Is yours Black Bark?
Yeah, there's no
TJ?
question.
Yeah, so you go ahead because you're the guest, and
it's the best. There's no other. I mean, I was going through it and I was thinking to myself, okay, there are so many in here and they're so good, and I love how they mirror and echo and fold into one another, and the whole thing is just so brilliantly structured. It was either going to be Black Bark. It was always going to be Black Bark. It was always going to be Black Bark. It was either going to be the Moans. I love the Moans, but I think the Moans fit nicely into the sequence on their own. I don't think the Moans fits me as like the favorite because it doesn't immediately stand out. It mirrors a couple of themes in the stories that are going on around it, like loops and ghosts and things of that nature. But yeah, it's just Black Bark.
For the game, could you give me a brief synopsis of Black Bark?
Okay. Can I make the synopsis of the story any shorter than it already is and have it still make sense? I don't know if I can do that, man. Basically, 2 guys are riding away from somewhere that they were shot at. Okay. All we know is that the horses that they are riding are stolen. Okay. And there are 2 of them. One of them is bleeding badly, and it's getting to be night, and things are really weird. And then they find a cave, and the one guy isn't doing so good. And then some really, really weird shit happens. Okay. And then one guy goes out in the night, and it's really dark, and you can't find the other guy, and the other guy is gone. The other guy shows up again, and some more weird stuff happens. And then you shit your pants. Okay. It's pretty much what happens.
That's basically what happens.
That's what happens. You'll want to have a fresh pair on hand if you're going to do any reading after that.
Joke's on you. I just freeball.
That's
why he doesn't want to see
again with the sweatpants. You know,
I mean, if you shit yourself, that joke is mostly on you.
Nothing I say.
That's true. Joke is only going to be on one person. It's not going to be the 3 of us. And that joke is going to smell like shit.
Nothing I say is actually true on this podcast.
Yeah. Black Bark is also my favorite. So I'll go to a second favorite. I did actually really like Bearheart. I think it's one of the simpler stories in the collection, but I really enjoyed it. It's about a pair of parents. They have a baby coming and she miscarriages. But before she does, they go to this shady underground clinic that claims that it can put your child's heartbeat into a teddy bear and claims that it's really helpful for your child to sleep next to the heartbeat, to their own heartbeat, and sync up with the teddy bear, and it can be their best friend. And they go to the clinic, they get a little recording of the heartbeat, and they get it put in this shitty like Amazon teddy bear that shows up at their door. It's not nearly as nice as advertised. And then they have a miscarriage. But the mother has at least one nice consolation, which is that she can still hear the heartbeat of her baby. If that's what it is.
Yeah.
Really interesting corollary between that one and Black Bark too is that weirder shit gets, the guy continually tries to dispose of this cursed token, but it continually recurs without him doing anything. He even tries to destroy it, but it just keeps coming back. That links to Black Bark in that there's a story within the story that's told about a piece of Black Bark that no matter what he does, it keeps showing back up in his pocket. Keeps showing back up in his pocket. It's always in his coat pocket. So it's kind of the same. There's a parallel there.
Yeah.
Well, and that's such a brilliant part of Black Bark as the opening story to the collection, because that story tells you what all the stories are going to be like. It goes, because he's literally telling a story in Black Bark to his friend who's just like, he's like, you want me to tell a story? His friend's like, not really. And he's like, too bad. I'm telling it anyway. He tells it to him.
The story where he tells it says, the man, the Black Bark, he tried to throw it out, but it kept showing up in his pocket. And the other guy even keeps saying, well, how did it get back into his pocket?
Like,
and the other guy says,
matter.
That's the part that gets left out. That's the part that's not Black Bark. That's the part that Black Bark left out. Yep. So now you're talking about some phenomenon that is encapsulated within the story that is also encapsulated in the story that has the same name showing up again in a later story. It's all connected, man. It's all connected.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, that is the part. It's like, and then, it's just like, that's the part that gets left out. And every story is like that. Like the story is in what gets left out. Then he proceeds to just be like, the bark opened its eye and looked at him. And the guy's like, what do you mean its eye? He's like, stop asking questions. I'm trying to tell a story.
Bro, don't worry about it. I'm telling the story.
That part gets left out too.
That all gets left out. And then included later on.
Jeremy, sorry, what's your story?
So I am going
No, wait. Leave it out.
Rude.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hell out of here with that shit. But anyway, I think my current favorite is the titular Collapse of Horses.
Nice.
Short story. It's just, that one just gets me. You have this fully unreliable main characters. Like I had 3 or 4 kids. I think it could be 3. I think it's 4. I count the beds to make sure. And my house,
but sometimes a bedroom isn't there.
Yeah, sometimes the bedrooms, they lie. The house is changing on me, and he gets so disturbed by this house that he perceives as changing that he concocts a plan to burn the house down by taking up smoking. And
so he can accidentally light a couch on fire.
Yes, accidentally. He has trouble lighting the couch on fire, but he has more success with the drapes. And or so you'd think. It's
depends on how you define success.
Yeah, if you define success as maybe he didn't actually burn anything down at all and he's just a crazy person, then maybe it's that.
Yeah,
I love it. It's got the dark humor that I kind of live for.
All right. Well, after hearing all of this, I love Westerns, so Black Bark does sound great. But for like potential theological themes that I'm always hunting for and stuff that maybe ties into things I'm more interested in on like a philosophical level, the miscarriage one, what was it called?
Bearheart.
That sounds like it has the potential to either like profoundly move me or in its horrific thing. Like I don't think you have to be always moved in a joyful way. You can be moved in by horror or like offend me greatly.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for both options. So that sounds like the one I'm most excited to read.
The best stories probably do both.
Yeah.
All right. And Travis, did you want to ask a pretentious question, or should we just grade this thing and call it a night?
TJ, if we have the time, I have one more that I'm dying to ask you specifically, and if the other two of you have the time. But Clay, Jeremy, we good? Okay, he full screened me, so I'm doing it.
Friggin' do it.
So, it's something I've been thinking about a lot. I think a lot of things are like this, and we don't think of them like this. But how much do you think literature and enjoying literature as a whole is more closely connected to like a muscle, like something we have to exercise and not take too fast than it is? I think a lot of people I've encountered, I can't speak to like any kind of collective whole, have often talked about it as like just jumping right into whatever story because you think you can handle it. And I've more, especially after teaching for a while now, been like, let's start here. Let's start at 100 pounds and let's work our way up to 360. Like, you're not ready for 360 yet. You're ready for 100. And that's nothing against you personally. I'm not saying you're bad. I'm saying you're not ready. And the example I always use is like, I've met several men specifically who are like, I want to get back into reading. I'm going to read Dostoevsky. And I'm like, don't do that.
Okay.
You
might not be back into reading for very long.
You might not.
Which
You're gonna make it.
is the question, though? That's important.
Brothers K. Brothers K is the one I hear a lot. And I'm like, you're going to make it like 2 chapters into Brothers K, and you're going to be like, I can't do this.
You're going to pull a muscle in your brain.
So yeah, I'm just curious of like your takes, TJ, especially of like, it sounds like Evenson is someone that requires effort and pretty deep thinking to understand. And like, I think a lot of those things that are beautiful and worthwhile sometimes should be walked into slowly, and that really recognizing and appreciating good literature is like a muscle where you should work up to it and not take that as an offense against you, but just like, oh yeah, I'm not at the place that I can appreciate this fully yet. Agree, disagree?
I think you're right. I think, but I don't think that the analogy that you've made is necessarily congruent, because I think the danger with rushing into something that, you know, could potentially hurt you is a little differently weighted than the danger of rushing into a piece of literature which might frustrate you or confuse you. I don't think it's actually going to do any sort of like damage to you on a somatic level. That being said, I also think that the analogy there is slightly off, because you can train yourself in a way that is intentional and programmed to be able to reach those places where you are more equipped and ready for those higher weights. For example, whereas you can do that, I think, with certain pieces of literature, I don't think that that's always the way people come about those pieces. I think sometimes throwing yourself into something without being ready for it is the best way to encounter something, even if you don't feel you're ready for it. Sometimes you'll find something in, say, the Brothers Carey that you like, and that will eventually prepare you for something else and might prepare you for something else. I find that when you read, you follow the web of your interests more so than like a difficulty level or a accessibility level. And I might argue that, yeah, I think there is a beauty in the complexity and the intricacy of Evanson's engineering on a prose level. That in a way that blows my mind as a person who's really into craft and technical stuff. But I also think that these stories are told in a really wickedly entertaining way. I don't think they need to be necessarily only appreciated on this more rarefied level. I don't think that's the level they can be enjoyed at. And I think that there are some pieces of fiction that I wouldn't recommend someone jump into. I wouldn't say, pick up Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace as your first DFW. I might say, if you're interested in DFW, I might enjoy his style a little bit more, get to be more comfortable with his voice and like what he wants to say and what he's doing, and start with Brief Interviews with Hideous Men, which is a little bit more compartmentalized and easily digestible than this, huge chonker of a book with enormous endnotes. So I think it's similar, but I don't know that the analogy is necessarily completely congruent.
I'm gonna push back a little. I do agree. I love what you said at the end there because it makes me think of James Joyce and like don't start with
Finnegan's Wake.
Don't start with Ulysses or Finnegan's Wake. Start with Dubliners. Like that's a much more comprehensible set of stories. But like the way I'll push back is like I think it's what I've noticed with teaching teens how to like trying to get them into reading, and our curriculum was like based on periods. And I realized this year I was like, this frustrates me so much because I'm like hearing so often I hate the classics. And I'm like, I'm trying to identify that why do you hate the classics? And I think a lot of it is because you're not ready for them and we're just like pushing them on you. And so I've changed the curriculum to be like, let's wade you into these deep waters, and like hopefully by the time I put the Iliad in front of you, maybe you won't like it as a story, but you'll at least understand it and appreciate the writing. And that's all I care about is like, I'm not trying to like force, I hope you love this story. It's like, you can hate it, understand it and appreciate it and be able to articulate to me why you hate it beyond just like, it was boring. And it's like, the Iliad is not boring. It's a 400-page battle. like, come on. So, I don't know. That's my little, like, that's why I use the muscle analogy is because I do think there's a level to where, like, especially teenagers, a harm is being done of like, they'll never return. If they have a bad experience with that thing first, they're never going to come back and try it again because they're like, I've been burned and I don't want to experience that again. And I think that can be a harm. Yes, maybe it's more of a subjective harm than like actually tearing a ligament, but it's a harm in itself of like, oh yeah, I tried that in high school and I hated it. And it's like, oh, maybe when you tried it though, you just weren't ready for it,
I don't know though, because I don't think it's about the classics and I don't know, I'm not a teacher, so I really don't know. But what I can speak to is my own experience of someone telling me what I should read. Someone telling me what they thought was essential. And I do understand that you have to create a curriculum. You have to come up with some sort of like plan or, rubric and metric for judging what is read and what is not read and that sort of thing. But I think if you ask any teen, I would imagine, what they thought a classic is or what a classic is defined as, the overwhelming majority of them would tell you stuff other people tell me I should read. That's old. And I don't know that should be a defining characteristic of what is a classic. I think that there are a lot of elements of classics that are easily accessible, regardless of level of consumption or period that it's in. But like you said, I think that there's a lot more to connect with on a universal level in, say, Dubliners than there is in Ulysses. Like, you're not going to give a teen Ulysses, even though everyone says to read it, because no one's going to understand any of the historical context that it was written in. But if you give them Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, there's something that they can relate to, and you can talk about why that is so moving and why it's different from other things and why we consider it a classic. So I think it comes down to
your point. to your point too, TJ, and then I swear I'll shut up, Clay. Sorry. I know you guys want to jump in.
And I'll shut up.
To your point, I don't think you do. Like I've more often come to this fact of like, I don't think you do need curriculum. I think literature should be taught more like a trade. Like I'm trying to teach people how I read. Because
I love that.
Like I'm a math
trade. I gotta write that down.
I'm the craftsman. They're my apprentices. I'm trying to teach them how I do my craft, which is reading. That's my craft. And so we've moved to like a book club curriculum where I have a list that's been approved and I'd show them the list and I'm like, here's all the descriptions of the books. You pick one, you pick one, you pick one. Then I get to pick one. And surprise, surprise, the one I pick is like the classic. But now it's not like your teacher's telling you, it's like, hey, we're all doing this thing. And I get to participate too. And it's going to be the harder one. But, that's because I'm older than you. So I think like people think you have to force a curriculum, but I've more come to this idea of like, I think that's kind of BS. And we don't.
The main thing people want, generally speaking, is a choice in the matter, a say in the matter, especially when it comes to something they're going to spend time on and be expected to think about and be expected to have like deep thoughts about. I want to consume something I'm interested in if I'm going to have to put a bunch of effort into it. So I think giving them a choice in that curriculum is a wise decision. And that's what TJ is speaking to as well. We don't want to be told what to read. And I think it also goes to your point about, you come to them when you're ready for them. That's when you choose to come to them. I think usually like, I'm just coming around to wanting to go back and read some stuff that I neglected to read previously in life because I'm reading a lot more. And I'm just like, yeah, I think I'm like ready to read one of those books I was supposed to read in high school that I just never did go back to. There are several. So, I'll probably be getting around to that. I'm inspired by that. So,
yeah, I mean, speaking as someone who was assigned a lot of books to read in my education and read a total of 0 of those books. Like
you're that okay.
He's that guy.
0. I am that guy. And you know what? I passed that class. Those classes, I should say.
Spark Notes is a hell of a drug.
Never used Spark Notes either. I was just raw dogging it when the teacher was like, hey, we're gonna all read A Tale of Two Cities, or you're going to have to repeat this class. And I didn't do either. So
nice.
But anyway, I agree that, like, while I'm sure all those books I was assigned to read are good, good is not a fixed standard, especially when it comes to like being introduced to like a whole world of things, you got to start with books that, there are books that are for beginners, books that are just like beginner friendly and then there are some books that are as accessible to beginners as A Hornet's Nest, where the hornets have machine guns. And like, you can work your way all the way up to the machine gun hornets. And you should, because that kind of rules. And then you can like engage in fun, pretentious arguments and things, and it's so good.
Yeah. And then for just the price of like $25 a month, you can have a StreamYard just like us. And you can fucking create a podcast all of your own, and hopefully really cool people like TJ will come on the show and grace you with their presence.
Clay, you know what helps pay for that $25 StreamYard?
Nice
our
transition.
Our Patreon helps pay for that $25
you did it.
StreamYard. Before we rate this thing, I just want to quickly plug, if you love what you're seeing, I hope you do. We have great guests like TJ on all the time. This show's really not about us. We're a bunch of goons, but people like TJ are awesome. And you could possibly ask a question directly to a person like TJ on the show. You could maybe join a Discord where there's invitations to writing groups and such like that. with people like TJ and all of that jazz. We have a lot of opportunities from $5 to $50 over on our Patreon. It's down there linked in the little scroll if you're on YouTube. If not, it's patreon.com/fermentedfiction. Please help us out. We love doing this for free, but it'd be awesome to get paid.
Yes, we will still do it if you pay us.
Elvis slogan. We love doing this for free, but it'd be awesome to get paid.
There's no lie. I mean,
it's just honesty.
Like, you know, that's the ethos. It's
We
awesome to get paid because it helps you continue to make great art.
Yes,
exactly. I
That's
cannot
right.
overstate how much we will still do this if you pay us. We're not going to go away.
Yeah, we're not going away.
We're not going to vanish
That's
when
right.
you put the quarter in the machine. Okay.
That's right. It's going to cost way more than a quarter. It's going to cost at least $5 a month. If you only enter at the $5, there's also an option to take us out of your algorithm. All you have to do, stay on $5 a month. You know, we got the mob option as well. If that's what you prefer. TJ, we do a rating system on this show. You might remember it from last time, but we try to identify how many drinks or substances of your choice does it take to enjoy the topic to the fullest extent. The topic tonight being A Collapse of Horses by Brian Evenson. What would you want to drink? How much of it would you want to drink, or whatever else you want to say?
I don't think I would want to consume any kind of altering substance while encountering this book. I think that the book itself is the altering substance.
All right. Sober.
Jeremy?
Very bold. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to go like basically the exact other way with this. So I'm going to what I'll be using as a frame of reference is the collapsed horse. So if you want to do one of those, you'll want to start with 3, okay? Because you want to
or 4, or 4,
3 or 4.
Maybe
you'll want to count.
I think you should drink a boot full of one.
Count the glass.
Maybe a boot. Ooh, if you've got a nice boot, that could be pretty good. But what you want to do is you want to keep that level going. You want to be the unreliable POV character of your read through of this collection.
Damn,
that's what you want right there. That'll get you right.
All right.
I don't know what that is. It's like 45.
Jeez
Louise.
I haven't read this, but I do think the point of our system is it's arbitrary and I can rate it.
Absolutely.
It sounds like, and we keep doing that. Clayton and I both.
Here you
have
go.
control.
I
There we
got you, dog.
The spotlight. It sounds to me like I'm gonna just have to enjoy one story at a time with my normal like single glass of bourbon on the rocks.
Classy.
Slow sipper all night. That's usually how I end like quite a few nights. More than I'm
sounds so
happy to say.
sophisticated.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll read one story a night for a week or so, 2 weeks. I don't know how many stories are in this collection.
17.
Okay, for a month. One story a night for nearly a month with a glass of bourbon on the
Some of them are very short.
Some of them are substantially shorter.
I still don't know if I want. It sounds to me like I'm not going to want to press on. Like I'm just going to want to be like, I'm going to sit with that for a bit.
I'm very curious to hear what you have to say.
Okay. StokerCon.
It's happening. We're all going to be there, TJ.
Hopefully,
and we're going to be hanging out.
Read this book and am big.
Absolute beefcake.
Bourbon and sweatpants.
Yes.
Boom.
You'll
That's
want
the
the
dress
sweatpants
code.
for a
That's
lot
the
of reasons.
Thursday night dress code for
Thursday
sure.
night dress code, bourbon and sweatpants.
Nice.
All right, everybody.
Clay, what's
I
your rating?
guess I'm with you, Travis. Either you or TJ. I would say if you're reading a story a night, do whichever one feels right to you for that story. Either be sober or have a sipper. Definitely don't drink a boot full of like gin,
Don't drink a
old
boot
fashioned.
full of collapsed horse. You don't
Don't
want
do that. Don't do that. But I mean, you can. You know, it's your choice. It's your choice out there. Just like it was your choice to be here. 2 people still ride or dying over here with us on YouTube. Thank you guys for being here, whoever you might be. Yeah. Thank you, TJ, for showing up.
Thanks for having me.
And
This is blessed.
delivering a fucking great debate and having a good time and staying a half hour longer in your East Coast time zone. Yeah, can you tell the people one more time where they can find you, what you do, what you're about, and if you want people to interact with you in any way, what would that way be?
Sure, yeah. I've got a website. It's out there, tgpricerights.com. You can find all the stuff that I do and have done in that place. I don't really use any social media platforms anymore. Just not interesting to me. But there's email, there's other stuff. And I write columns over at threequarksdaily.com now. Every 4 weeks or so, I have a new article come out. So if you want to hear more of my random kind of meanderings on stuff I've been reading and doing, head on over to threequarksdaily.com. Quarks like the subatomic particle.
Okay. Is Haven Spec doing anything cool this year?
Oh yeah, Haven Spec is going to be releasing a bunch of issues this year, starting out with the first one, which should be actually releasing very soon. I think we're actually moving to once a month format, and we've got a whole team of associate editors, first readers, and Leon is really kicking ass. He has completely, from the ground up, designed and programmed his own submissions engine.
Damn.
So he does not use Moksha as others do. It is completely his own thing, and I've watched it grow, and it's really stunning. It's a really, really an incredible piece of work that he's put together that we get to use in the back end. So I'm excited to see what else is coming up.
Cool. That's exciting. Go check out Haven Spec magazine, where TJ is an editor. And yeah, go check out his website. He's got some short stories available for free. And he's a really good short story writer, so you should check it out. You should also read The Disappearance of Tom Nero. It's a great kind of trippy. If you like Mark Z. Danielewski, it's a bit in the vein of House of Leaves, but a novella, and you never have to turn it sideways. So I definitely, you can, and that will make it harder to read. So if that's what you're into, you can totally do that. But hey. We appreciate one of the things that you're choosing to do is listening to our stupid asses all night. Thanks for doing that. Please continue to. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, TJ, for being on the show. We've been Fermented Fiction. Goodbye.